We almost didn't have a computer, so we're doing great. Thank you, Carrie.
And Carrie, we good on your end?
I am ready to go when you are, Madam President.
Excellent. And I see our clergy is here. If we're ready, I'm going to open up the meeting. And our colleagues will join when they can. Good afternoon. Before we officially start, let me just take care of some housekeeping. For those who are watching at home, I'm City Council President Kim Janey. In accordance with Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 executive order modifying certain requirements of the open meeting law and relieving public bodies of certain requirements, including the requirement that public bodies conduct its meeting in a public place that is open and physically accessible to the public. The City Council will be conducting its hearings virtually, as we have been for almost a year now. Viewers can watch online by visiting boston.gov/city-council-TV. Now, at this time, I will ask our clerk to call the roll to ascertain the presence of a quorum. Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Madam President. Councilor Arroyo. Councilor.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Madam Clerk, you're on mute.
Yeah, I don't know who muted me, but okay. Councilor Arroyo.
Present.
Councilor Arroyo, present. Councilor Baker. Councilor Baker. Councilor Bach.
Present.
Councilor Bach, present. Councilor Braden.
Present.
Councilor Braden, present. Councilor Campbell.
Here.
Councilor Campbell here. Councilor Edwards.
Present.
Councilor Edwards here. Councilor Asabi George.
Present.
Councilor Asabi George present. Councilor Flaherty.
Yeah.
Councilor Flaherty here. Councilor Flynn.
Here.
Councilor Flynn present. Councilor Janey.
Present.
Councilor Mejia.
Here with bad internet.
Councilor Mejia present. Councilor O'Malley.
Present.
Councilor O'Malley present. And Councilor Wu.
Present.
Councilor Wu present. And one last time, Councilor Baker. Madam President, we have a quorum.
Thank you so much. I've been informed by our clerk that a quorum is present. We will begin this meeting as we always do with the introduction of clergy. And at this time, I'm going to ask Councilor Flynn to come forward to introduce our clergy. Councilor Flynn, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I'm honored on behalf of myself and Councilor Flaherty. We're honored to have Monsignor Liam Bergen give the invocation at today's City Council meeting. Monsignor Liam Bergen has been a priest in residence at Gate of Heaven in St. Bridget's Parish since 2012. He studied in Italy for over 25 years and was a rector at the Pontifical Irish College in Rome as well. He was named a professor at Boston College. Monsignor Liam is a native of Ireland. He's a great community member in South Boston to the Gate of Heaven and St. Bridget Parish. He's also a great and welcoming presence in our parish. Above all, Monsignor Bergen knows that we're all God's children and understands the pain and suffering. He's a student of the lessons in Ireland during the great famine, and those lessons are still relevant today. The famine in many African countries also remind us that human life is precious. For the hungry, the homeless, imprisoned, sick, and desperate, we strive for compassion and empathy. Monsignor Liam also has a welcoming soul and is very welcoming to my nephew, Braden, a little boy of special needs, and he's also an understanding to so many persons with disabilities in the community. Our former Eucharistic minister was Michael Flaherty's mother, Peggy Flaherty. I know we miss Mrs. Flaherty as well. So on behalf of myself and Councilor Flaherty, Monsignor Lamb, it's an honor to have you today.
Thank you, Councillor. Indeed, it's an honor to be here. And in your honor, I have the picture of our beautiful Gate of Heaven Church in the background. Today, my friends, in the Catholic calendar is the feast of St. Blaise, a martyr from Armenia in the 4th century. And normally on this day, we bless people's throats, but COVID-19 has stopped all that. The prayer of blessing asks for God's protection to keep us free from illness, and that we utter with our mouths what is true and good. Because as you know, words matter. They have the power to hold us captive and the power to set us free. They have the potential to free our mind and heart, to nurture body and soul, to cultivate our conscience and imagination. But they also have the power to stifle, to disable, to imprison, and even to destroy. In the Hebrew scripture, the word holds the creative power of God. Let there be light, the author of Genesis reminds us, and there was. The word spoken brings everything into being. In Islam, God is described as creating by speaking. The word Quran is literally the divinely revealed word of God. And Buddhism too is only very much aware of the power of the word. And that is why right speech is included in the Buddhist Eightfold Path. Christian faith presents Jesus as the Word of God made flesh. And in the Gospel of Luke, Jesus' ministry begins at home in Nazareth when he goes to the synagogue on the Sabbath day. He is handed a scroll of the prophet Isaiah. He unrolls the scroll and finds the passage where it is written, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to bring glad tidings to the poor. He has set me to proclaim liberty to captives and sight to the blind, to let the oppressed go free and proclaim a year acceptable to the Lord." And then Jesus rolled up the scroll, he handed it back to the clerk, and the eyes of all in the synagogue were fixed on him. And he said to them, "Today these words are fulfilled in your hearing." To craft words and to live out of them is to engage in a divine endeavor. Bless those among us who by their words and actions unlock hope and promise and open creative pathways to freedom and to peace. Lord God, author of the word, send your blessing upon us, upon our city, upon this nation, upon our fragile world. Bless this chamber and the words that are spoken here. Renew your life within us. Strengthen our hope in the future, awaken our faith from the past, and forge a present where love finds a home between memory and promise. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you so much for that inspiring message. At this time, we will stand to pledge allegiance to the flag. And Monsignor, please feel free to stay as long as you'd like, or to exit whenever you need. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States
of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible,
with
with liberty and justice
justice for all. Just some quick housekeeping. I think there may be a couple of counselors waiting to be let in to the Zoom. So hoping that that is being taken care of. We have a couple of special presentations this morning, and I'm going to begin with Ms. Allen. Ms. Allen, you with us? Yes. Miss Allen, are
Good
you?
morning.
Okay.
Can you
wonderful.
hear me?
Yes. Are you able to be on camera?
Good morning.
Good morning. Are you able to be on camera?
I'm trying to, I'm having some difficulties here.
No worries. I will offer a brief introduction and then you will have the floor. There you are. We see.
You can see me?
Yes, I can see you. Wonderful.
Oh.
So I wanted to just take a moment. As folks know, we're offering singing the praises of city workers, people who have dedicated their entire lives, their careers to making sure the operations of our city function. And Shay Allen is certainly an unsung hero in that regard. She has 42 years of service with the city of Boston. And she recently retired at the end of last year. So we weren't able to get this resolution last year with all of our legislation, but we wanted to make sure that we were bringing her forward so that we could celebrate her. She is a Roxbury resident. She started back, I believe, on March 29th, 1978. Working for the city of Boston. She's worked in multiple capacities in different departments throughout her career, including being a youth worker on the Youth Activities Commission back in 1978, a supervisor for the Office of Boards and Commissions in 1980. She's done some work in the Public Facilities Department, and most recently, she's been in the Department of Neighborhood Development and the Boston Home Center since 1986. She's served on a number of committees and special events, including the Planning Committee for the Martin Luther King celebration and Boston's 350th Jubilee Committee. I've gotten to know her just through her amazing service through our city. And I just wanted to take time to recognize our unsung heroes. And at this time, I will ask Ms. Allen to say a few words. Thank you, Ms. Allen, for your dedication to our city.
Thank you, President Janey. That was awesome. And the distinguished members of the Boston City Council, I thank you so much for just this honor, just to recognize that my work that I have done with the city. It has been a pleasure. I have met some dynamite people. I have worked with several people, some who are on the committee, your parents. I've worked with Mayor Ray Flynn for years. And in fact, when I was on his inauguration committee. And in fact, I did coordinated the luncheon for the city council and the mayor the year that he was sworn in as mayor. And it's been just a dynamite experience. I have met so many people that I would never have dreamed of meeting. Like, I was sent out to represent the city when Rosa Parks came to town. With the first Black mayor of Chicago, Mayor Ray Flynn had a reception at the apartment house for him. And there were just so many people that have helped me along the way. But the most important part of my journey with the city is that I love working with the city. I love doing even the political work and working with the city councilors. It is just awesome, the work that you guys do every day and every night, your dedication to the city. In fact, I feel that you are a blessing to the city. I am so happy that I have been able to help change the fabric of the city. And by meaning that, it used to be a lot of distressed properties all over the various communities. And I know in Roxbury, in certain parts of Dorchester, was a dumping ground for construction. People, they would just dump the trash there. Kids could not walk or play on those properties. And in the late 80s, they came with a Department of Neighborhood Development. They came up with an idea to clean off the neighborhoods, develop the land that was buildable, and the other distressed land that was not buildable, the abutter lot program, they put gardens, they had additional space for homeowners that wanted it, and it just changed the community. Now you see kids playing in little playgrounds, and to me that is so important. And I have helped over thousands, I want to say close to 3,000 homeowners help to develop their homes, and so they can be safe and they can live and afford to be in their homes without incurring any additional monthly debt by providing the deferred loan program. And I have worked with some terrific managers like Lawrence Quayle is known as Larry Quayle. He's the person that put on the, when the Pope came to town in the late 70s, I think it was 79, then I had the chance of working with him with boards and commissions, and he did all the special projects when the Celtics were winning in the 80s. He's the one that planned the events, and I worked in that department, so I was able to attend all the parties. And I was just happy to just serve Boston. And I did work, I was always on the ward committee for 9-5. And some, for Christmas, I would go up to Senator John Kerry's office and address Christmas envelopes, Christmas cards for him. And I did the same for Senator Sangas. I have done so many things that I'm just overwhelmed because I was just doing things because I like.
Alan, for your dedication and your service. We want to present you with a resolution. You may have gotten that already. We're just so grateful for all of your contribution to our city. So thank you so much for joining us today and for your nearly 50 years of dedication to this city. And the items that you highlight are clearly visible in terms of a new day around the dumping, but there's clearly so much more work to be done.
Exactly.
And even though you are retired, I know that you are not going anywhere and that you will continue this work. So we are all very grateful on behalf of the entire City Council. We offer our deep, deep, deep gratitude to you. I hope that you're able to stay on. We've got another special presentation that is pretty special and wouldn't want you to miss it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
It's been an honor. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Our second presentation, and folks may recall from last year when we opened up our City Council meeting for Black History Month, we had a wonderful treat. At that time, we were still in the City Council chambers, and we had with us young people from Page Academy. And even though we are not physically in the chamber, I wanted to bring back our young people to open up this council meeting again in honor of Black History Month. If folks recall, Page Academy is one of the last standing independent schools that was founded more than 50 years ago to serve students, particularly in the Black community who were not being served well 50 years ago in our school system. They still are around to this day and are providing excellent opportunities for our young people. And so I want to highlight at this time the founders, Dr. Angela Cook and Brother Joe Cook, for their leadership in our community and throughout our city. Both continue to put the well-being of their students at the forefront of all of their work. I'm very honored to be able to stand here and to recognize them again for their leadership and their partnership, and for creating a space for young people, our students, our children, to thrive academically. Certainly want to acknowledge that their hardworking staff who have been dealing like all of us, trying to adjust given COVID, and how we educate our young people. But whatever the obstacle, they continue to overcome them, which is really important. So without further ado, just a brief introduction from maybe Brother Joe, if you could keep that to 1 minute, because we want to get right into the drumming of our young people. Thank you so much.
Hi, can you see me and hear me?
Mhm.
Hi,
Yes.
can you see me and hear me?
Yes.
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 Okay. Hi, thank you for that kind introduction. We're Page Academy. We're a nursery and elementary school. We educate children from birth through 6th grade. And we're gonna drum for Black History Month, a welcoming song. We have to celebrate Black History all the time, not just in February. But we also wanna acknowledge that this is Black History Month. So my name is Dr. Angela Page Cook, and I'm one of the founders of the school. And we're gonna do a song called Funga Alafia. Many of you may know it. You can sing along with us. And it means welcome and blessings to you. So without further ado, we'll start drumming.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It clearly isn't the same as being in the chamber in person, and we have some technical difficulties on our end. But I cannot wait till next year to have you back in the chamber, God willing. So thank you so much for all that you do, and many thanks to the young people. Thank you very much. Thank you all. A round of applause, please, for Page Academy. Wonderful. Thank you all, and thank you, Ms. Allen. Thank you, Monsignor. That's it for our special presentations. The rest of our meeting certainly won't be as exciting as this, but you're welcome to stay on or leave at your leisure. So with that, we're going to go back to our agenda, and Madam Clerk, if you could please amend the attendance report to include that Councilor Baker has joined us. So that is.
Thank you, Madam President.
Yes. And now onto the first order of business, which is the approval of our minutes. Seeing and hearing no discussion on the matter, the chair moves to approve the minutes from the last meeting as presented. I'm going to ask our clerk to call the roll. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam President. Councilor Arroyo.
Yes.
Councilor Arroyo, yes. Councilor Baker.
Yes.
Councilor Baker, yes. Councilor Bach.
Yes.
Councilor Bach, yes. Councilor Braden.
Yes.
Councilor Braden, yes. Councilor Campbell.
Yes.
Councilor Campbell, yes. Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Councilor Edwards, yes. Councilor Asabi George.
Yes.
Councilor Asabi George, yes. Councilor Flaherty.
Yes.
Councilor Flaherty, yes. Councilor Flynn.
Yes.
Councilor Flynn, yes. Councilor Janey.
Yes.
Councilor Janey, yes. Councilor Mejia.
Yes.
Councilor Mejia, yes. Councilor O'Malley.
Yes.
Councilor O'Malley, yes. And Councilor Wu.
Yes.
Councilor Wu, yes. Madam President, the minutes have received a unanimous approval.
Thank you so much. The minutes from the last meeting stand as approved. We'll move on to communications from His Honor the Mayor, beginning with docket 0262.
Docket 0262, message and order authorizing the City of Boston to accept and expend an amount of $20,670,810 in the form of a grant for the emergency rental assistance awarded by the United States Department of the Treasury to be administered by the Department of Neighborhood Development. The grant will fund assistance to households that are unable to pay rent and utilities due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Thank you so much. Docket 0262 will be referred to the Committee on Housing and Community Development. We'll move on to docket 0263.
Docket 0263, message and order authorizing the City of Boston to accept and expend an amount of $80,000 in the form of a grant for the FY21 Sustainable Materials Recovery Program, Recycle Dividend, awarded by the Mass Department of Environmental Protection to be administered by the Public Works Department. The grant will fund a cost-benefit analysis of programs that utilize economic incentives to increase residential waste diversion in Boston.
Thank you so much. Docket 0263 will be referred to the Committee on City and Neighborhood Services. We'll move on to docket 0264.
Docket 0264, message and order for the confirmation of the appointment of Kristen Hoffman as an alternate member of the Boston Landmarks Commission for a term expiring June 30th, 2023.
Thank you so much. Docket 0264 will be referred to the Committee on Planning, Development, and Transportation. We will now move on to reports of public officers. And if we could take the next few dockets together, that's docket 0265 through docket 0294.
Thank you, Madam President. Docket 0265, notices received from the mayor of the reappointment of Adeswa Igbenwika as a member of the City of Boston Scholarship Fund Committee for a term expiring June 1st, 2023. Docket number 0266, notices received from the mayor of the reappointment of Catherine Preskensis as a member of the City of Boston Scholarship Fund Committee for term expiring June 1st, 2023. Docket number 0267, notices received from the mayor of the appointment of Daniel Pascantilli as a member of the City of Boston Scholarship Fund Committee for term expiring June 1st, 2023. Docket number 0268, notices received from the mayor of the appointment of Megan Towie as a member to the City of Boston Scholarship Fund Committee for term expiring June 1st, 2023. Docket number 0269, notices received from the mayor of the reappointment of Micah Rosegrant as a member of the City of Boston Scholarship Fund Committee for term expiring June 1st, 2023. Docket 0270, notices received from the mayor of the reappointment of Anyan Yang as a member of the Boston Fair Housing Commission for term expiring July 1st, 2023. Docket number 0271, notices received from the mayor of the reappointment of Javier Flores as a member of the Boston Fair Housing Commission for term expiring July 1st, 2023. Docket number 0272, notices received from the mayor of the reappointment of Igo Bodiki Azidi Jr. as a member of the Boston Fair Housing Commission for term expiring July 1st, 2023. Docket number 0273, notices received from the mayor of the reappointment of Ann Conley as an associate commissioner to the Parks and Recreation Commission for term expiring January 25th, 2025. Docket number 0274, notices received from the mayor of the reappointment of David Queeley, as an associate commissioner of the Boston Parks and Recreation Commission for a term expiring January 25th, 2025. Docket number 0275, notices received from the mayor of the appointment of William Epperson as an associate commissioner of the Boston Parks and Recreation Commission for a term expiring January 25th, 2025. Docket number 0276, notices received from the mayor of the reappointment of Jennifer Falk as a member of the Boston Cultural Council for a term expiring October 1st, 2023. Docket number 0277, notices received from the mayor of the appointment of Alexander Spear as a member of the Boston Cultural Council for a term expiring October 1st, 2023. Docket number 0278, notices received from the mayor of the appointment of Catherine O'Neill as a member of the Boston Cultural Council for a term expiring October 1st, 2023. Docket number 0279, notices received from the mayor of the appointment of Joanne Helton as a member of the Boston Cultural Council for a term expiring October 1st, 2023. Docket number 0280, notices received from the mayor of the reappointment of Leonard Lee as a member of the Boston Human Rights Commission for a term expiring on December 1st, 2023. Docket number 0281, notices received from the mayor of the appointment of Marie Tai as a member of the Boston Cultural Council for a term expiring October 1st, 2023. Docket number 0282, notices received from the mayor of the reappointment of Robert McEachran, as a member of the Boston Human Rights Commission for a term expiring on December 1st, 2023. Docket number 0283, notices received from the mayor of the reappointment of Reyes Colatelli Chia as a member of the Boston Human Rights Commission for term expiring on December 1st, 2023. Docket number 0284, notices received from the mayor of the appointment of Joyce Lenahan as a member of the Boston Public Library Board of Trustees for term expiring April 1st, 2021. Docket number 0285, notices received from the appointment of Senator Michael Rush as a member of the Boston Public Library Board of Trustees for term expiring May 1st, 2025. Docket number 0286, notices received from the mayor of the appointment of Navjeet Bal as a member of the Boston Public Library Board of Trustees for term expiring May 1st, 2025. Docket number 0287, notices received from the mayor of the appointment of Joseph Berman as a member of the Boston Public Library Board of Trustees for term expiring May 1st, 2025. Docket number 0288, notices received from the mayor of the appointment of Christian Westra as a member of the Boston Public Library Board of Trustees for a term expiring May 1st, 2025. Docket number 0289, notice is received from the mayor of the appointment of Aisha Miller as a trustee of the Make Boston Shine Trust Fund for a term expiring January 14th, 2022. Docket number 0290. Notice is received from the mayor of the reappointment of Daniel Green as a trustee of the Boston Retirement Board for a term expiring March 13th, 2023. Docket number 0291. Notice is received from the mayor of the appointment of Edward McGuire as a trustee of the Boston Groundwater Trust as a representative. Docket number 0292. Notice is received from the mayor of the appointment of Linda Champion as a member to the Municipal Lobbying Compliance Commission for term expiring January 3rd, 2022. Docket number 0293, notice was received from the mayor of the appointment of Alexis Kachuk as a member of the Boston Election Commission for a term expiring March 31st, 2024. And docket number 0294, notice was received from the mayor of the appointment of Zook Mo as a member of the Internal Affairs Oversight Panel for term expiring March 14th, 2021.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Please take a sip of water after
Thank
all.
you.
Docket 0265 through 0294 will be placed on file. We'll now move on to reports of committees, beginning with docket 0155.
Thank you. Docket 0155, the Committee on Government Operations, to which is referred on January 13th, 2021, docket number 0155, petition for a special law regarding an act relative to the office of mayor in the city of Boston. Submits a report recommending the petition ought to pass draft.
Thank you so much. At this time, the chair recognizes Councilor Edwards, who's chair of the Committee on Government Operations. Councilor Edwards, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Madam President. Just confirming, you can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Excellent. Dear councilors, docket 0155, an act relative to the office of mayor in the city of Boston, was sponsored by Councilor Arroyo and referred to the committee on January 13th. The committee held a hearing on January 26th, and where we had copious amounts of public comment. And then we also had a working session on January 29th. During the summary of the legislation is that it essentially dispenses with the obligation for the city of Boston to have a special election this year if the mayor, for example, were to leave and if the mayor's office were to become vacant before March 5th, we would be required otherwise to have a special election. This home rule petition allows for us to skip that special election and go straight to the general, and then ultimately allowing for the acting mayor to remain in such position until a new mayor is elected. Essentially, at the hearing, we had a great conversation where we had many people, including the elections department. We had people from the Secretary of State's office, as well as from Mass Vote and League of Women Voters and Voter Table come and speak in favor of dispensing with a special election. We also had the Boston Municipal Research Bureau in complete and total agreement. I can honestly say 99.99% of the people who testified wanted to dispense with the special election, and only did we hear slight concerns about the issue with the following the rules. But overall, most people found that the safety and the fact that we have a pandemic and that we could be disenfranchising voters was far more outweighed the concerns with following the exact rules as written. I want to make clear that Councilor Arroyo, in filing the home rule petition, is also following the rules and is also making sure that there's a transparent conversation about how we would dispense with the special election. At the working session, we got deeper into the language. I want to thank Councilor Bach especially for her presentation and making sure that we considered an amendment that I believe brought consensus for all of the councilors to look at and make sure that we were clear with what we were doing, clear with how the democracy would be played out in the fall, and also that we understood that that according to our charter, that if a vacancy were to occur, that the mayor elected at large would be certified and would become the mayor upon winning that election in the fall. And that was, I thought, was actually a really great consensus moment in coming together and again, amending, moving language in a way that, honestly, we don't see oftentimes in DC, and sometimes we don't see in the State House. So this is I think, a victory lap for all of us and how we came together as a body and moved this as fast as possible. And so, in short, the amendment changes one part, actually really a sentence in the proposed draft, and just make sure that it's very clear that we're following the charter. And it basically puts in the line at 13, a mayor shall be elected at large at the next regular municipal election. And that's it. I wanted to just again thank everyone, again, Councillor Bach for the amendment, for the conversation, for the clarity, and essentially also Councillor Arroyo for your leadership. And I, again, as the chair of the Committee on Government Operations, recommend that submit this committee report and recommend that this home rule petition pass in an amended draft. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councillor Edwards, for that thorough report. I will now call upon Councillor Arroyo, who is the sponsor of this legislation. Councillor Arroyo, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you, Madam Chair. I filed this home rule petition because we are living under extraordinary circumstances. Boston is under a state of emergency, and we are in the middle of a deadly pandemic that has claimed the lives of over 1,000 Boston residents to date. We are continuing to see the COVID positivity rates increase, and we are experiencing alarming numbers of hospitalization. I filed this with the understanding that COVID-19 is the largest crisis facing Boston in our lifetimes, and that it would be irresponsible for us to allow for the possibility of 4 in-person elections for the same office in a 5-month span. The very real possibility of 4 different mayors at the helm in less than a year, especially when we can act to prevent that. Over the course of the past few weeks, I was surprised that so much of our conversation centered on mayoral campaigns, and not instead on the well-being of our residents. Ensuring that health and equity are first and foremost in everything that we do as a city should always take precedent over any individual's personal political ambitions. And questions about what is and is not ethical were raised, as though voting to ensure we protect the health and stability of the city of Boston could ever be unethical. I'm deeply grateful to the residents of the city who ensured that they and the communities that they are a part of had their voices heard, and that we centered them, the residents, and the realities that they are facing day to day. Without their overwhelming support, I'm not sure this effort would have been successful. And I want to thank the following organizations that work to ensure that the voices of our residents were heard. This is not a complete list, so please don't come after me if I miss your organization, but the NAACP Boston branch, the Greater Mattapan Neighborhood Council, the Right to the City Vote, Black Economic Council of Massachusetts, the Chinese Progressive Association, La Alianza Hispana, West Roxbury-Rosendale Progressive Chapter, as well as the Downtown Progressive Chapter, the Greater Boston Chamber of Commerce, Mass Vote, Mi Gente Boston, Planned Parent Advocacy Fund, Massachusetts, the Sociedad Latina, Lawyers for Civil Rights, IBA Boston, the High Square Task Force, the Black Economic Justice Institute, 32BJ SEIU, the Boston Foundation, the New England United for Justice, Asian American Resource Workshop, Amplify Latinx, the Mass Voter Table, the Greater Boston Latino Network, the Lenny Zacum Fund, League of Women Voters of Massachusetts, the Boston Globe Editorial Board, as well as the Dorchester Reporter Editorial Board, the Municipal Research Bureau, the Latino STEM Alliance, Latinos for Education, Boston Higher Education Resource Center, the East Boston Community Council, and the Greater Boston Interfaith Network. It's an impressive list, frankly, because they believe, as do I, that having multiple elections for the office of mayor in the same year in the midst of a pandemic is a serious threat to the health of our residents, our city workers, and our communities, and will contribute to the disenfranchisement of people of color, disabled, and low-income communities, and would be wasteful and costly as an expenditure for the city at a time when our revenues are down and so many critical services are in need of increased funding. The people of Boston deserve nothing less than a Boston City Council that unequivocally votes yes to their health and their enfranchisement. And I'm asking my colleagues to vote yes on this home rule petition as it's written now, because I believe that is what's right and best for the city. And so I appreciate the work that we've done on this. I appreciate the work of the advocates who really made sure that we centered them during a 4-hour hearing, where they made sure to take the time to stress how this impacts their lives. And I appreciate my colleagues who listened and heard from them and took to heart what they said. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that. At this time, Councillor, I see a hand. Councillor Bach, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Madam President. I want to thank the lead sponsor for bringing this forward. I think it was something that a lot of us were sort of reading the charter and looking at askance, and he took action and filed a petition. And I want to second his thanks to all the advocacy organizations. I also really want to thank Councillor Edwards for running us through this process of a hearing and a working session. obviously, I made clear to folks last Friday that I was interested in the details of the language, and I appreciate colleagues allowing me to get into the weeds on that front, and also just very grateful that folks were able to come to consensus. And I think that when we work as legislators, it's where we take the things that are what people want to see happen, and we figure out how to do them in the best legislative form. That's our job. And I appreciate Councillor Edwards' steadfast commitment to that, to hearings and working sessions, and am glad that we've ended up where we are today. And I know that from all of my conversations, strong consensus support from this body is going to be really important for passage at the State House. And so again, glad we've gotten there, and really would just use this moment also to urge I know the mayor's already said that he's going to support the council, but would urge our colleagues at the State House to join us in that consensus that we've reached around this petition. So thank you, Madam President.
Thank you so much, Councillor Black. At this time, the chair recognizes Councillor Baker. Councillor Baker, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President. Before I get into the matter of voting on docket 0155, we need to address how we conducted business as a body here. First, the fact that the legal memo that clearly stated it was for our eyes only and not to be shared was leaked to the Globe, the Herald, and the Bay State Banner was totally wrong, and that someone would act this way was beyond reprehensible. Needless to say, it questioned the professional integrity of someone who works for all 13 of us. There was some other misinformation that was put out to the city council and our government immediately. Our constituents had a say. Next, some of you may recall that I was the chair of the committee, of the Special Committee of Charter, and we held public discussions on various aspects of charter and possible legislative reform. Last January, a year ago, this committee was done away with. At last week's working session, there was consensus about having more elaborate discussions on how we should look at the language on what we do when there's a vacancy in the office of the mayor for future situations. The topic of updating language in the charter is nothing new. There continues to be an ongoing discussion of how the school committee, a body that is determined by charter, is formed. Also, twice, not once, but twice, did the city council review legislation on at-large vacancies, not running for city council and mayor at the same time, and extending city council terms. Our current mayor signed the home rule petition passed by the council, and they ended up dying at the State House, meaning that once again, we'll need to refile them and work with our colleagues at the State House for passage. All of this brings up the question, why was the city council special committee on charter reform done away with, especially when our constituents have been calling for reform for a long time now. So maybe it's time for us to look again at reforming that committee and doing this work as a full body. But the votes that we're taking, especially around what the point that I want to make, especially around our raises and also the redistricting, we're taking it in one term and weren't enacted. And this also goes for the other changes that were charter reform changes. They were taken in with one body and would not have been effective until the following election, and a new body would have taken over. Thank you for your time on this, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Councillor Baker. At this time, the chair recognizes Councillor Mejia. Councillor Mejia, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to thank Councillor Arroyo for his steadfast leadership in this space and being so quick to really put this work into motion. And I also want to thank Councillor Edwards for her commitment to getting this here today. And obviously, I also want to thank our resident historian and professor, Councillor Bach, for her PowerPoint presentation. I think that one of the things that I'm walking away with from this entire journey over the last few weeks is how important the process is, and how important it is for us to engage those who are living these realities and doing the work in that conversation. And I don't think that we would have gotten this far had it not been for the advocates who were out on the outside, really engaging in the conversation and helping to inform our thinking. So I just wanted to just really amplify community voice. And I do think it's really interesting as we start thinking about all of the politics at play from the memo that Councillor Baker just brought to the forefront to everything that we've gone through, it just goes to show that when it comes to politics, we still have a lot of work to do as a body in terms of building our own relationships and really developing spaces and places where we all feel heard and respected. So I think that this is really an opportunity for us as a council to really think about how we're going to move forward. And then I also just want to urge our colleagues to recognize that those who put us in office expect us to do the people's work. And you, Madam President, Council President Janey, you kind of were one of the first people to really talk about the fact that there is no conflict of interest, right? And that when people put us in office, they expect us to vote on the things that matter to them most, and that we need to hear that and act accordingly and ensure that everyone is voting to however they feel in regards to this issue. But the people put us in office, they expect us to do our job. And I am extremely grateful for the opportunity to learn and engage with you all. But I do know walking away that we still have a lot of work to do as a body to learn how to work more collaboratively together.
Thank you so much, Councilor Mejia. And just to clarify, I am not the final authority on conflicts. Anyone who needs advice on that should go straight to the Ethics Commission. But thank you so much for that, Councilor Mejia. At this time, the chair recognizes Councilor Flaherty. Councilor Flaherty, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to thank Chair Edwards for shepherding the body through the process and to sponsor Councilor Arroyo for filing the petition. And also a special mention to our colleague, Councilor Bach, for her efforts during the working session that garnered consensus among our colleagues that resulted in the amended legislation that we have in front of us today. And I'll be voting for this petition as I feel that the legislation recognizes the public health emergency we are in while maintaining consistency with the provisions outlined in our city charter. This petition provides for the duly elected mayor, whoever he or she is, to be sworn in after the votes are certified in November in order to ensure greater stability for our city. So as the acting mayor, as we all know, does not have the same powers as an elected mayor. And we're also at the same time recognizing the will of the voters. So for all of the aforementioned, I'll be voting for today's amended legislation. Thank you for everyone who participated and also our colleagues who weighed in at the working session. It was very helpful, very productive dialogue. And as a result of all the give and take, we're here today moving forward. So thank you, Madam President.
You're muted, Madam President.
At least once. Okay, I think we've got that out the way, so hopefully we'll be good for the rest of the meeting. At this time, the chair recognizes Councilor Arroyo. Councilor Arroyo, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. And I wasn't going to touch on process during my speech, simply because I think that was something for us to discuss. But since it's been broached publicly, I do feel like it's important to respond to this and just lay out sort of where I'm at on this. In terms of what the council has done prior, Councilor Flaherty would recall that in 2007, a regularly scheduled preliminary election that candidates were in at that time was canceled by this body. There was no conflict of interest conversation or check there. Folks will remember that in 2019, we made decisions, and I wasn't on the body at that time, regarding early election voting. And so there certainly have been, in an election that they are in, and so there's certainly been questions about whether or not we've ever had a conversation. I've never been privy to one about who's ethically supposed to be voting on something or ethically is or isn't on behalf of another person. I don't think we've ever had that. Whether or not people have had their own personal conversations with themselves and with the Massachusetts State Ethics Commission is entirely separate and apart. But we've never had a public conversation about who is ethically or not ethically allowed to vote. And to be clear about this legal memorandum that was, as Councilor Baker says, confidential, I certainly did not give it to the Globe if that was the insinuation. I did receive a call from the Globe that day about it, and I gave them my Massachusetts State Ethics Commission response. And the reason for that is this. That legal memo, just first and foremost as a lawyer, is not confidential or privileged. That belongs to the client. So whoever on this council did give that to the Globe, frankly, was within their rights to do so, whether you agree with it or not. But when that happened, in terms of the Massachusetts State Ethics Commission, that was an answer that I received in about 45 minutes to an hour. And my issue and concern with that has been public is that opinion that came out of the council would have disenfranchised 3 duly elected women of color and their constituencies, not just from a vote, but from a conversation about this. And I think it's really important to understand that as legislators, our voices, the electorate that puts us in this position to use our voices and to use our votes on their behalf, that's the most precious thing that we have. And so when we're talking about a decision that wrongfully would have stripped folks of that power and constituencies of those voices, I think that is the highest affront that we can have when it's incorrect. And so to be perfectly clear, it has been cleared up, at least on my behalf, and I believe on Council President Janey's behalf, by the Massachusetts State Ethics Commission. But that was my issue. I don't think anybody here would defend that is not a worthy cause to make sure that we are not disenfranchising our own elected body from votes that they're rightfully allowed to participate in. And so I would just say from the standpoint of having a conversation about the ethics and whether or not this was correct or that was correct or how something was done was correct, I would just say on this body, I've never seen it. I've never heard of a conversation or a memo. I've never received one in the year plus that I've been here on anything we've done about whether or not there's an ethical obligation. And frankly, I think when we deal with ethical obligations, those are usually ethical obligations that we raise ourselves. The Massachusetts State Ethics Commission, for instance, only speaks to an elected official on what they're reliable or responsible to. And so, from the standpoint of where we are today, this wasn't the conversation I was hoping to have, but I do think it's important to note that when something happens that could disenfranchise the voices on this body, that is something wrongfully, that is something that I always speak out against. That is something that I always raise my voice up against. And so it's incredibly important, I think, that we note that is what that legal memo was going to do if it had not been checked by the Massachusetts State Ethics Commission. And so, that's where I am on that. I just want to make sure I responded to that because frankly, in terms of wrong information or wrongful information, I wanted to make sure that I set the record with where I was coming from and what that situation was for me. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you so much. Seeing and hearing no other discussion, Councilor Edwards seeks acceptance of the committee report and passage of docket 0155. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Certainly. On docket 0155, Councilor Arroyo.
Yes.
Councilor Arroyo, yes. Councilor Baker. Councilor Baker.
Yes.
Councilor Baker, yes. Councilor Bach.
Yes.
Councilor Bach, yes. Councilor Braden.
Yes.
Councilor Braden, yes. Councilor Campbell.
Yes.
Councilor Campbell, yes. Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Councilor Edwards, yes. Councilor Sabi George.
Present.
Present. Councilor Flaherty.
Yes.
Councilor Flaherty, yes. Councilor Flynn.
Yes.
Councilor Flynn, yes. Councilor Janey.
Yes.
Councilor Janey, yes. Councilor Mejia.
Yes.
Councilor Mejia, yes. Councilor O'Malley.
Yes.
Councilor O'Malley, yes. And Councilor Wu.
Yes.
Councilor Wu, yes. Madam President, docket 0155 has received 12 votes in the affirmative and 1 present.
Thank you so much. The committee report has been accepted and docket number 0155 has been passed in a new draft. We will now move on to items under matters recently heard for possible action. Madam Clerk, I'm going to ask you to read docket 0109, 0110, 0111, and 0125 together, please.
Certainly. Docket 0109, message and order for the confirmation of the appointment of Cherry Dong as a member of the Zoning Board of Appeals for a term expiring July 1st, 2021. Docket number 0110, message and order for the confirmation of the appointment of Bethany Patton as a member of the Zoning Board of Appeals for a term expiring July 1st, 2021. Docket number 0111, message and order for the confirmation of the appointment of Myra Negron Roach to the Board of Directors of the Boston Industrial Development Finance Authority for a term expiring April 1st, 2024. And docket number 0125, message and order for the confirmation of the appointment of Michael F. Monahan as a member of the Boston Redevelopment Authority for a term expiring August 23rd, 2023.
Thank you so much. At this time, the chair recognizes Councilor Wu, who is the Chair of Planning, Development, and Transportation. Councilor Wu, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. This will be, there are many nominations in committee, so between this week and next week, I hope that our committee will have worked through much, if not all of these. Out of these 4 dockets that were graciously read by Madam Clerk, docket number 0111 for Myra Negron Roche to be nominated to the BIDFA board actually was part of a hearing that we had in November, but did not get to act on. And so we were bundling with it to be able to act on it today with the other 3. So we had a hearing this past Monday. Thank you to colleagues for joining that conversation on the ZBA nominees as well as the BPDA board reappointment. The ZBA nominees are for the neighborhood spot, a full member, which would be Sherry Dong, and then the alternate spot, which would be Bethany Patton. Commissioner Irish reported at that hearing that we are now in good shape with the, pending the recommendation that I'm putting forward to confirm all of these appointments. We would be in good shape with that board with just 1 vacancy left, and nearly everybody having an alternate attached to them, and plenty of capacity to be able to schedule hearings, get through all the dockets. And the commissioner also reported that the board is fully through the backlog that had been caused by canceling a few meetings in the early part of the pandemic. So I wanted to give that larger update as well. All of these candidates have been vetted by the council and answered questions around conflicts of interest, around their participation and motivation for joining in these roles. And I recommend passage of all 4 today.
Thank you so much, Councilor Wu. We're going to take these votes separately, and we'll start with docket 0109. Councilor Wu seeks passage and confirmation of docket 0109. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Thank you. Docket 0109, Councilor Arroyo. Councilor Arroyo.
Yes.
Councilor Arroyo, yes. Councilor Baker.
Yes.
Councilor Baker, yes. Councilor Bach.
Yes.
Councilor Bach, yes. Councilor Braden.
Yes.
Councilor Braden, yes. Councilor Campbell.
Yes.
Councilor Campbell, yes. Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Councilor Edwards, yes. Councilor Asabi George.
Yes.
Councilor Asabi George, yes. Councilor Flaherty.
Yes.
Councilor Flaherty, yes. Councilor Flynn.
Yes.
Councilor Flynn, yes. Councilor Janey.
Yes.
Councilor Janey, yes. Councilor Mejia.
Yes.
Councilor Mejia, yes. Councilor O'Malley.
Yes.
Councilor O'Malley, yes. And Councilor Wu.
Yes.
Councilor Wu, yes. Madam President, docket number 0109 has received a unanimous vote.
Thank you so much. Docket 0109 has passed. We will now move on to the next docket. Councilor Wu seeks passage and confirmation of docket 0110. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Certainly. Docket 0110, Councilor Arroyo.
Yes.
Councilor Arroyo, yes. Councilor Baker.
Yes.
Councilor Baker, yes. Councilor Bach.
Yes.
Councilor Bach, yes. Councilor Braden.
Yes.
Councilor Braden, yes. Councilor Campbell.
Yes.
Councilor Campbell, yes. Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Councilor Edwards, yes. Councilor Asabi George.
Yes.
Councilor Asabi George, yes. Councilor Flaherty.
Yes.
Councilor Flaherty, yes. Councilor Flynn.
Yes.
Councilor Flynn, yes. Councilor Janey.
Yes.
Councilor Janey, yes. Councilor Mejia.
Yes.
Councilor Mejia, yes. Councilor O'Malley.
Yes.
Councilor O'Malley, yes. And Councilor Wu.
Yes.
Councilor Wu, yes. Madam President, docket number 0110 has received a unanimous vote.
Thank you so much. Docket 0110 has passed. We'll move on. Councilor Wu seeks passage and confirmation of docket number 0111. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you. Docket 0111, Councilor Arroyo.
Yes.
Councilor Arroyo, yes. Councilor Baker.
Yes.
Council Baker, yes. Council Bach,
Yes.
Council Bach, yes. Council Braden,
Yes.
Council Braden, yes. Council Campbell,
Yes.
Council Campbell, yes. Council Edwards,
Yes.
Council Edwards, yes. Council Asabi George,
Yes.
Council Asabi George, yes. Council Flaherty,
Yes.
Council Flaherty, yes. Council Flynn,
Yes.
Council Flynn, yes. Council Janey,
Yes.
Council Janey, yes. Council Mejia,
Yes.
Council Mejia, yes. Council O'Malley,
Yes.
Council O'Malley, yes. And Council Wu.
Yes.
Council Wu, yes. Madam President, docket number 0111 has received a unanimous vote.
Thank you so much. Docket 0111 has passed. We'll move on to the last docket here. Council Wu seeks passage and confirmation of docket 0125. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Certainly. Docket 0125, Councilor Arroyo.
Yes.
Councilor Arroyo, yes. Council Baker.
Yes.
Council Baker, yes. Councilor Bach.
Yes.
Councilor Bach, yes. Councilor Braden.
Yes.
Councilor Braden, yes. Councilor Campbell.
Yes.
Councilor Campbell, yes. Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Councilor Edwards, yes. Councilor Asabi George.
Yes.
Councilor Asabi George, yes. Councilor Flaherty.
Yes.
Councilor Flaherty, yes. Councilor Flynn.
Yes.
Councilor Flynn, yes. Councilor Janey.
Yes.
Councilor Janey, yes. Councilor Mejia.
Yes.
Councilor Mejia, yes. Councilor O'Malley.
Yes.
Councilor O'Malley, yes. And Councilor Wu.
Yes.
Councilor Wu, yes. Madam President, docket number 0125 has received a unanimous vote.
Thank you so much. Docket 0125 has passed, and we will move on. Madam Clerk, if you could please read the next three dockets, 0173, 0174, and 0175 together.
Certainly. Docket 0173, petition for a special law regarding an act regarding the disability pension for Harry Jean. Docket number 0174, petition for a special law regarding an act regarding the disability pension for Ryan Lene. And docket number 0175, petition for a special law regarding an act regarding the disability pension for Terry Cotton.
Thank you so much. At this time, the chair recognizes Councilor Edwards. Chair of Government Operations. Councilor Edwards, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Again, a sound check.
Yes, we can hear you. Along with
Excellent.
the voice, but we can hear you.
Yeah. So I just want to make sure. Thank you very much for this opportunity. We had a working session. We actually had all three matters introduced and discussed last year, where we had a really robust hearing and actually heard from the officers. And due to the traumatic experience, I'm going to encourage the public to look at that particular hearing to hear from the officers directly about their experiences. But ultimately, this working session is about the language and about these home rule petitions that would do the following. It would take the 72, possibly 75% base salary that they would normally get on retirement and make it 100% of what they would normally receive. It would also give some exceptions to other retirement policies. One, that they would not be subject to a cap of $15,000 on subsequent income if they were to get the 100% base salary. And then two, that they would also not have to do certain financial certifications of income. It would also be, there was in this draft a bar from working in law enforcement. And then finally, this draft also allows for the survivor benefit to go through. We want to make sure, however, that we use modernizing language, as Councilor Flaherty noted, that the 3/4 benefit, which is normal for the surviving spouse to receive, goes down if they get married, to only $550 a month. We believe that has been eliminated, so we're just going to make sure that the language is modernized. Also, what we took as a body in this working session was the opportunity to really set a precedent and also get some education about what we're doing. The fact is, we have 3 pending right now. We expect another 4 coming up. And this is a large amount of folks, since the number of total cases that we've had since, I believe, I want to say the 1990s, for these exceptions has been about 5. And so when we go to move forward on this, I suggested that we also think about the standard and how we're going to analyze them all. And I want to thank Councillor Asabi George for making sure that part of that standard and part of that conversation is how we treat those who are traumatized, specifically believing them, hearing them, and then also not re-traumatizing them when they go to tell their story. So that's one part of the analysis. The other part was to make sure that we had the financials available. What is the impact? It is a fiscal decision, and it's making sure that we understand if this person goes out on 100% at whatever age they are, how much that will cost the city. The city is responsible for the difference between the 72, 75% and the 100%. So how much is that actually? The other thing we wanted to make sure we got was a background from the retirement board of who has gotten these waivers before, who has waived the caps before. And then also I specifically asked about the waiver and what would happen if a person made more than $15,000 and they discussed that they could get a waiver and basically waive their retirement payment from that year and turn around and then collect possibly the next year. But most importantly, I wanted to know how many people actually got waivers and made more than the $15,000 cap. I thought was very important and also something for us to consider in our standards going forward is the cap itself. And I want to thank again Councillor Bach for her suggestion that we do want to balance fiscal responsibility and also making sure people don't get a windfall with the ultimate goal of making them whole. The cap right now, again, is $15,000 for subsequent income. That's less than minimum wage. So what I hope we're going to continue to discuss, and I think we will get there, is just simply within our home rule petitions, raising the cap so that they can make additional income, but not a windfall. So I'm asking that these matters stay within committee, pending the information that we have asked for, which is the financial documents and the history from the retirement board. I want to thank my colleagues who showed up and had this robust conversation and understanding the background. And I want to thank the officers for their service, all of whom were shot, all of whom were injured, and all of whom have sustaining injuries that have impacted their lives. I don't ever want people to think that we don't doubt that or that we don't value that. But in as much as we are looking at the tax dollars and how they're spent of the city, I don't want people to think I'm counting people's money or that I'm doubting that someone should make money when they're retired. No, indeed, I want to make sure we set a standard so that when we go forward to analyze these things, we understand as a body what we're doing and we are consistent. That is all. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I again ask that all three matters remain in committee as we work and wait for this additional information.
Thank you so much, Councillor Edwards. Dockets 0173, 0174, and 0175 will remain in the Committee of Government Operations, and we'll move on in our agenda to motions, orders, and resolutions. Madam Clerk, if you could please read docket 0295.
Thank you, Madam President. Docket 0295, Councilor Bach offered the following order for hearing regarding the current state of cooperative housing in Boston and strategies for its further expansion.
Thank you so much. The chair recognizes Councilor Bach. Councilor Bach, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Madam President. This is a refile. In fact, it's a refile of my maiden speech, which I gave about almost exactly this time last year. It was Feb 5th and we're Feb 3rd. So I've now enjoyed almost a year of actually speaking on this council. I think folks will remember Woody Woodhouse came and joined us. It was a really great occasion to talk about the real stability and long-term community that cooperatives are able to instill in our neighborhoods, and also the way that they can be a real path to wealth building for folks who don't have the kind of stake to do initial home buying. We, since filing that, have had a hearing with DND and also done a bunch of work with them behind the scenes. And I'm really been pleased about some of the steps we've been able to start taking. So DND and their partner organizations, they're working towards a lesson on housing cooperatives as part of the first time home buyers program. And also on a concrete effort to actually have a revolving fund that increases access to share loans, which is the sort of name for the mortgage style product you need to buy a co-op share. And just in general to increase the sort of financial and technical services available to housing co-ops. So it feels like we've got some really good work in progress, but it's work in progress. We really want to make housing cooperatives a bigger piece of the solution for increasing affordable housing and reducing displacement in Boston. So that's why I'm refiling, because I'm excited to keep working on this. Thank you, Madam President.
Great, thank you so much. Not seeing any discussion. A show of physical hands, please, for those who would like to add their name to this docket. Madam Clerk, if you could please add Councilor Braden, Councilor Asabi George, Councilor Campbell, Councilor O'Malley, Councilor Arroyo, Councilor Wu, Counselor Flynn, Counselor Edwards, Counselor Flaherty, Counselor Mejia, Counselor Baker. Did I get everyone? Counselor Sabi George, got you. And please also add the chair. I have you, Counselor. Counselor Sabi George, we've got you. Yeah, you might be frozen. I don't know. We have you. I think that's everyone, Madam Clerk. Docket 0295 will be referred to the Committee of Housing and Neighborhood Development. We'll go on to docket 0296, please.
Docket 0296, Councilors Bach and Braden offer the following petition for a special law regarding the Boston Landmarks Commission.
Thank you so much. At this time, the chair recognizes Councilor Bach. Councilor Bach, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Madam President. This home rule petition is part of what I feel is a really important kind of 360-degree effort to really increase the historic preservation tools in our city with an eye to community history and to how we get more historic preservation and awareness of the valuable historical resources in all of our neighborhoods, especially our neighborhoods of color and places that frankly haven't seen the kind of investment in historical preservation that we've seen in other parts of the city. This is a very small change, but it would make a big difference. So it would really allow us to more fully preserve and landmark Boston's historic sites, because as it stands, Massachusetts state law, the law that creates our Landmarks Commission, only allows Boston to landmark sites that are significant to the state or nation. So it says that it has to be significant to the city and Commonwealth or the country. And so basically, if you've got an incredibly important site to a neighborhood or the city itself community, but you can't sort of prove that it's Commonwealth level importance, then you're not eligible for landmarking. And that has really frustrated efforts to preserve and mark so many incredibly important landmarks in our communities. And when I think about the fact that it's Black History Month, and it's already been referenced, it should be a state of mind, not a month. But you know, when you think about what does it really mean to preserve history, a lot of times it's landmarks in our communities that first tell people that history. Kids come to learn that history because someone points at a building and says, oh, you know about this? And I really think we need that all over the city. And this home rule would merely change an and to an or. So instead of something having to have city and Commonwealth level importance, it would be city or Commonwealth or nation. So basically lets you landmark buildings of importance to our local community. And I just really think that that would help us honor a history that includes all Bostonians, not just white, affluent, well-known historical figures and sites. And so I'm looking forward to discussing this legislation at the hearing and working to landmark more of Boston's rich and diverse history. So thank you, Madam President.
Thank you so much. Very timely. This time, the chair recognizes Councilor Braden. Councilor Braden, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you to the maker, Councillor Bach, for including me on this as an original co-sponsor on this important petition for a special law. The enabling legislation for the Landmarks Commission only allows individuals with significance above the local level to be landmarked, and that makes it very difficult for local communities to designate and recognise and preserve the importance of the history of our local diverse communities. So I fully support this change in the enabling legislation as the addition of a simple comma, a simple change in the wording will give the Commission a greater ability to designate sites particularly important to Boston's historic landmarks and to historical buildings and places of historic significance in our neighborhoods and the communities that live in those neighborhoods. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Show up. Councilor Campbell, did you want to speak to this?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. Really quickly, I just want to thank the makers for this legislation. It's critically important, you know, as a district councilor, we are often getting requests, and obviously in the context of development in and outside the district, with respect to folks who are fighting to preserve buildings that have a historical nature and context. And so this is just a great legislation, great idea. Thank you to the makers for doing it. And I know that it's often been a point of frustration where we've sort of lost some of those battles when trying to push for some of these designations to happen. So thank you, Councilor Bach, and thank you, Councilor Braden, for your leadership on this. And please add my name.
Thank you so much. A show of physical hands for those who would like to add their names. Madam Clerk, if you would please add Councilor Flynn, Councilor O'Malley. You already have Councilor Campbell, Councilor Arroyo, Councilor Mejia, Councilor Wu, Councilor Flaherty, Councilor Edwards. Please also add the chair. Docket 0296 will be referred to the Committee of Government Operations. We'll move on to docket 0297.
Thank you. Docket 0297, Councilors Bach and Wu offered the following order for hearing regarding city-level conservation corps for Boston.
Thank you so much. At this time, the chair recognizes Councilor Bach. Councilor Bach, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Madam President. This is also a refile and something that I'm really excited about. We had a great hearing back in December about thinking about what a Boston Conservation Corps could look like. And what we found as we started to peel back the layers was that there was a lot of ground to cover. So we focused in particular in that December hearing on establishing career pathways for residents and especially our Black and Brown youth in Boston into forestry and arborist careers where there's a bunch of the pieces. We have some of the best higher educational opportunities in becoming an arborist anywhere in the country. But we still see this huge lack of diversity in the arborist field. And we know that we're trying to build the pipeline for that with things like our urban forestry plan. So the opportunity to really increase that pipeline, thinking about our summer programming, thinking about Madison Park, about pathways that really create those jobs and get our young people into them and grow the degree of climate-focused work we can do in the city is really exciting to me. But urban forestry is only one strand. There's also green infrastructure, managing stormwater, just an enormous number of things that we could do and that we could expand our work within the city budget in a sort of youth development, economic development, recovery focused way that also moves us forward on our climate goals. So it's a really exciting start of a conversation. I think we've now got a bunch more hearings to have and work to do on how to put all the pieces together. And I think there is an opportunity, even without having all the pieces together yet, to pilot something this year to get our residents to work, receiving job training and completing climate-focused capital projects. And I want to thank my co-sponsor, Councilor Wu. I thanked when I initially rolled this out, I acknowledged both her and Councilor O'Malley's leadership in getting this council to endorse the Green New Deal, which at the federal level suggests a recovery of the Conservation Corps idea. And I think it's been really exciting to realize all the ways in which it really could be real here in the city of Boston. There are other places that are a little bit ahead of us in leading on this, but I think that we have the capacity to leapfrog all of them. So grateful to the many great folks who came to the hearing. More partners than I can name. It's one of those, it'd be dangerous to start listing them situations. And also really want to thank Chief Cook, who's been really open to this idea, as has the Office of Workforce Development and actually the YEE folks. So like I said, I think there's a pretty exciting opportunity here and we'll be digging into it. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you so much. The chair recognizes Councilor Wu. Councilor Wu, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I cheered this when Councilor Bach filed it initially, so I'm just grateful to be partnering and to be able to follow her lead on this. We know climate justice is racial justice, is economic justice, and this is one of the simplest and fastest steps that the city could take to really connect all of that, put people to work, create a jobs training program that directly helps residents in our most impacted communities be able to access the benefits of better flood resistant infrastructure, protections against climate change, and all of the goals that we're looking to move forward on this council. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. The chair recognizes Councilor O'Malley. Councilor O'Malley, you have the floor.
Thank you. Just very briefly, rise to commend the two makers, Councilors Bach and Wu. Obviously, add that my name be added, or ask that my name be added to this. It's just tremendous. And as we talk about the green economy going forward, just on energy alone, and I mentioned that because we are now in day 3 of the city adopting community choice energy through our efforts several years ago. On clean energy jobs alone, we will see a quadrupling of those jobs over the next decade. We're going to go from 3 to 12 million jobs in the clean energy sector. And again, these are jobs that pay enormously well. And some of the early action from the Biden administration on this through executive orders have just really inspired me. We are seeing more movement in the green economy over the last 2 weeks than we have in decades before. I think that's a safe statement to make. So I'm really excited for this. Looking forward to Boston to continue to be a leader in this space. As the late great Tom Menino said, we will make Beantown Greentown, and I'm delighted for the leadership of my colleagues and continued work in the months ahead.
Thank you so much. The chair recognizes Councilor Mejia. Councilor Mejia, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. And I just wanted to thank the makers for this hearing. And I also just want to encourage us to really think about how we can center this around equity. And I know that's kind of one of the goals and objectives, but I'm thinking about a lot of the Black arborists that already exist in the city of Boston and what role we're going to play to include them in this process, right? I'm also thinking about how can we hold ourselves accountable by putting together some real clear goals and objectives that are measurable, right? And creating this is not just, it all sounds very pretty and great and like we have the best intentions. And I think that oftentimes when it comes down to the work, things get a little bit lost in the sauce. So I'm really looking forward to the hearing and making sure that we're centering this around creating opportunities for people who have been left out of the green space for far too long and being really intentional about what that's going to look like from a workforce development and small business perspective. So really thank Councilor Bach and Wu for their leadership in this space, and looking forward to bringing the people into the conversation so that we can be held accountable to just that.
Thank you so much. The chair recognizes Councilor Campbell. Councilor Campbell, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I want to thank the makers for this refile. It's great. And as Councilor O'Malley said, yes, jobs, jobs, jobs. And there are a lot of folks looking for work right now. So it is exciting to see, of course, what's happening at the federal level. And of course, essential and important that we at the local level maximize what that could look like in our city. So thank you to the makers. I will just add a conversation I look forward to having specifically during budget process, including, I guess right now we start those conversations that connects with this. It's just the capital projects, right? Accelerating those, looking at ways in which the city could possibly be borrowing a little bit more now that interest rates are so low, to accelerate some of these capital projects, whether around climate issues or school infrastructure or something else, to get our folks back to work while also meeting needs in communities at the same time. So this is fantastic. Thank you to the makers again for refiling it. Looking forward to engaging in those conversations. Thank you. And please do add my name, Madam President.
Thank you so much. The chair recognizes Councilor Braden. Councilor Braden.
Thank you, Madam President. I too want to commend the makers for this very important initiative. I really applaud the idea of developing a pipeline. This is a new and emerging area of expertise that will offer many, many opportunities for our young people across the city. And I hope to see, look forward to the conversation about how we can engage our high school students and our students at Madison Park and our community colleges to develop really good paying, well-skilled young people who can avail of these jobs. And I look forward to the conversation. Thanks again. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Seeing no other discussion, Madam Clerk, we'll add names at this time. Show of physical hands, colleagues. Please add Councilor O'Malley, Councilor Braden, Councilor Flaherty, Councilor Campbell, Councilor Arroyo, Councilor Flynn, Councilor Edwards, Councilor Sabi George, Councilor Mejia. Please also add the chair. Did I get everyone? Councilor Mejia, I got you. Wonderful. Docket 0297 will be referred to the Committee on Environment, Resiliency, and Parks. We'll move on to docket 0298.
Docket 0298, Councilor Arroyo offered the following order requesting certain information under 17F regarding PBD staffing.
Thank you so much. The chair recognizes Councilor Arroyo. Councilor Arroyo, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. And I'm going to take this moment actually to publicly congratulate Commissioner White on his post. We haven't had a chance yet, or at least I haven't had a chance yet to publicly congratulate him. And so I look forward to working with him. This is a 17F that seeks specifically the minimum minutes and notes from the quarterly personnel analysis meetings that discuss and determine minimum staffing levels for all Boston Police Department districts and citywide units from January 2019 to December 2020. I think we've had 2 now overtime hearings where we've tried to sort of tease out what exactly is the calculus or the rationale or the way in which they calculate how many officers go to which district at which time. And so this is just an official request for what we've been told in those meetings is that, in those hearings rather, is that they have meetings where they discuss and decide whether or not how they put this together. And so this is just seeking the minutes and the notes from that. It's also seeking what those minimum staffing levels for the BPD districts and citywide units are on a quarterly basis from the same time frame. And a comprehensive list, electronic list of all construction details worked by BPD employees from January 25th to December 2020. This list shall include the following information: the names of officers and officer IDs, the date and time of the construction detail shift, the construction project name and location where officer was stationed during the shift, the customer's name and addresses, hours paid and hours worked by an officer, and also data on how many construction details were filled and how many went unfilled by month from January 25th to December 2020. And so that's a general sense of what this is. It's really about figuring out how much staffing we use, what the level of detail work is, which, for folks that may be concerned about conflating detail work with overtime that the city pays for, that's not what this is about. This is simply getting an accurate list of how many details we do and who's doing them and where, and how we try to dole out how many need to be at each project and all of those different things. And so that's what this is. Literally, that's what this is, almost word for word. And so this is just a 17F seeking that information. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you so much. The chair recognizes Councilor Bach. Councilor Bach, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to say that I think it is important for us to get this information on the minimum staffing levels. I think that Councilor Arroyo alluded to it, but over the course of our conversations with the department, the description of the minimum staffing levels and how they're determined has sort of shifted. Initially, they were kind of presented as this fixed point, and then as we've asked for more details on them, they've become this amorphous thing. And so, I think obviously they're either written in stone and we can't possibly change them, or they're not, and then we need to be able to have a conversation about them. And so I think it would be helpful to get some more information out on the table on that. So just wanted to appreciate that. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you so much. Seeing no other discussion, Councilor Arroyo seeks suspension of the rules and passage of docket 0298. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Thank you. Excuse me, docket number 0298, Councilor Arroyo.
Yes.
Councilor Arroyo, yes. Councilor Baker.
No.
No. Councilor Bach.
Yes.
Councilor Bach, yes. Councilor Braden.
Yes.
Councilor Braden, yes. Councilor Campbell.
Yes.
Councilor Campbell, yes. Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Councilor Edwards, yes. Councilor Asabi George.
Yes.
Councilor Asabi George.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Councilor Asabi George, yes. Councilor Flaherty.
Yes.
Councilor Flaherty, yes. Councilor Flynn.
Yes.
Councilor Flynn, yes. Councilor Janey.
Yes.
Councilor Janey, yes. Councilor Mejia.
Yes.
Councilor Mejia, yes. Councilor O'Malley.
Yes.
Councilor O'Malley, yes. And Councilor Wu.
Yes.
Councilor Wu, yes. Madam President, docket number 0298 has passed.
Thank you so much. We will move on to docket 0299.
Docket 0299, Councilors Braden and Flynn offered the following order for hearing regarding future plans for the Horace Mann School for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing.
Thank you so much. The chair recognizes Councilor Braden. Councilor Braden, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I move to suspend Rule 12 in order to add Councillor Asabi George as an original co-sponsor.
Seeing and hearing no objections, Councilor Asabi George has been added.
Thank you. The Horace Mann School for the Deaf was founded in 1869 and is the oldest public day school for deaf and hard of hearing students in the United States, with a history of providing quality education for deaf and hard of hearing. The Horace Mann is the first and only dual language school in the United States to teach both American Sign Language and English. It is a highly specialized school and as I mentioned earlier, the only public day school for deaf education in Massachusetts. The demographics of the Horace Mann student body are as follows. 100% of the students have disabilities of hearing loss and other disabilities. High needs, 100%. 73.7% of are with a first language other than English in their family situation. 67% are English language learners. 81.6% are economically disadvantaged, and over 89% are non-white minorities. In the Build BPS initiative, as the Build BPS initiative identifies, the Jackson Mann K-8, the Horace Mann School, and the BCYF Jackson Mann Community Center are slated to be closed and ultimately demolished beginning in July of 2022. That's not very far away. It is of the utmost importance that the continuity of care and educational services offered at Jackson Mann to Jackson Mann students and staff are given the proper consideration. It is my hope that with this public hearing, we may engage all the stakeholders and help to formulate a plan to establish the Horace Mann School for the Deaf as a state-of-the-art facility consistent with its role as a regional center of excellence for deaf education. They do have many out of district placements, and it is one of the few. It is probably the only public school in the city of Boston that actually generates revenue from out of district placements. Thank you to my co-sponsors for joining me in this very important hearing.
Thank you so much, Councillor Braden. The chair recognizes Councillor Flynn. Councillor Flynn, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I'd just like to first say thank you to Councillor Braden for her tremendous leadership on this important issue, along with Councillor Sabi George. I know our colleagues, Councillor Edwards and Councillor Baker, have also done a lot of work in this field as well. I will be brief. I know Councillor Braden covered the issue, but Horace Mann provides tremendous support for our students who are deaf and hard of hearing. It's an indispensable resource for our disability community. It's important that the school receive the support and upgrades that it needs to continue serving its students. Supporting people and students with disabilities is a civil rights issue. I want to say thank you to Councillor Braden for a long time leadership on civil rights issues. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you so much. The chair recognizes Councillor Sabi George. Councillor Sabi George, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Madam President. And I realize that I think my service, the internet's not great for me today, although I am here at City Hall. I'd like to thank Councilors Braden and Flynn for adding me and co-sponsoring this important hearing. Holding a public conversation about the future of the Horace Mann facility is very much needed. The Horace Mann community deserves a much better building, as all of our Boston Public Schools do, and a long-term home that is designed with their students in particular in mind. I look forward to holding this hearing soon. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you so much. Seeing no other speakers, a show of physical hands for those who would like to add their names. Madam Clerk, if we could please add Councillor Wu, Councillor Flaherty, Councillor Bach, Councillor Edwards, Councillor Campbell, Councillor O'Malley, Councillor Mejia, Councillor Baker, Councillor Arroyo. And Councillor Campbell. Did I get everyone? Also add the chair. Docket 0299 will be referred to the Committee of Education. We can move on to docket 0300, please.
Docket 0300, Councilors Flynn, and Edwards offer the following order for hearing to discuss services for women veterans.
Thank you so much. Yes, I'll wait till I call upon you just because of the background noise. Thank you. At this time, the chair recognizes Councilor Flynn. Councilor Flynn, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Madam President, and thank you to Councilor Edwards for her partnership on this. This hearing aims to continue that discussion on how veteran organizations and VA hospitals can offer the gender-specific services for our women veterans. Today, women comprise 20% of serving military personnel, 10% of the veteran population. Despite their contributions, women veterans often don't receive enough support. For example, the Department of Veteran Affairs does not have medical facilities that provide the necessary and adequate maternity care for women veterans. As VA hospitals are struggling to provide gender-specific medical care for our women veterans, the recently passed Deborah Sampson Act in Congress seek to address this issue by requiring the VA to offer primary care for female veterans at all medical centers and clinics and provide access to counseling to women who suffered severe related sexual trauma, as well as those who are at risk of becoming homeless. It's important we recognize that sacrifice and service of women veterans. It's critical that our women veterans receive the care and services that they need for their health and well-being. And Madam President, I've worked on this issue with Councilor Edwards for 3 years, and I don't think there's anyone that knows this issue as well as Councilor Edwards. And she lived the experience of being a family member of a woman veteran. So her unique experience on this issue is critical. So I want to say thank you to Councilor Edwards, not for just partnering with me, but for her long-time advocacy in support of women veterans and our military families as well. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you so much, Councilor Flynn. The chair recognizes Councilor Edwards.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate this opportunity. You know, my mother told me when she was growing up, it used to be an insult that your mother wears combat boots. My mother did. And then she put on heels, and then she would put on house slippers too, because she was a mother. She took care of my sister and I, and she raised us on various military bases. I was born in St. Patrick Air Force Base, and they delivered us in actually Christmas stockings as a set of twins. I've only known the veteran experience, the military experience through my mother's eyes, and seeing what she had to deal with and what she joined in the 1970s.
Just one moment. It's okay. Just one moment. We'll just have a brief pause here. Trying to filter out some of the background noise.
My apologies. So ultimately, what I want to say is this hearing order continues that conversation and makes sure that warriors, war heroes, that we recognize that they are women, that includes women as well. Veterans, our definition of who's patriotic, who fights for this country, is growing, not only for women, people of color, for our transgendered warriors as well, but it's to recognize that this country needs to fight just as hard for the people who fought for this country, who died for this country. I look at my mother and the eyes and the perspectives that she had, and the struggle she had trying to find people to babysit my sister and I when she would have to do TDYs and travel for weeks on end. She had to leave us at 6 weeks actually with some friends on the base. And that was one of the hardest things she had to do as a mother. It's adjusting our military to understand that people should be able to fight in their fullest selves. And that's what this hearing order is about. When they return home, when they retire, when they've stopped that formal fight, they shouldn't have to keep fighting for services, to be seen, to be recognized, and to get help. So I'm excited again to partner with Councillor Flynn to make sure that this conversation stays vibrant and ongoing. Thank you very much for your opportunity, for this opportunity, Councillor Flynn, and and to the council for your patience.
Thank you so much. Not seeing any other speakers, a show of physical hands, please, for those who would like to add their name. Madam Clerk, if you could please add Councillor O'Malley, Councillor Sabi George, Councillor Campbell, Councillor Arroyo, Councillor Wu, Councillor Flaherty, Councillor Braden, Councillor Mejia. Did I get everyone? Councillor Bach. Please also add the chair. Docket 0300 will be referred to the Committee on Veteran and Military Affairs. We'll move on to docket 0301.
Docket 0301, excuse me, Councilors Flynn and Flaherty offer the following order for hearing to discuss the impact of Corey on access to employment and other opportunities.
Thank you so much. The chair recognizes Councillor Flynn. Councillor Flynn, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President. As the clerk mentioned, this is a refile from last year. I've worked with Councilor Flaherty and our colleagues and Mayor Walsh on this. We had an excellent hearing last year on Corey reform, the impact it has on employment and other resources. The negative effects of criminal convictions have a devastating impact on so many communities of color, immigrants. When they have that conviction, it's almost it almost prohibits them from certain jobs, employment opportunities. Criminal records often harm access to resources, opportunities for those with prior convictions. But despite progress made on Corey reform, and I'd like to acknowledge Governor Deval Patrick, who's done excellent work on Corey reform, as have the state legislators as well. But there's more that can be done. As a former probation officer for 9 years, I witnessed firsthand the impact that Corey can have on a person's ability to access opportunities that would help put them on the right path. In our discussion, our ongoing discussion about racial equity and reforms to the criminal justice system, we should also be talking about how we can ensure that people with criminal records are given a fair chance in getting jobs and other opportunities. People deserve a fair chance, a second chance, a third chance, but we must be willing to work with people coming out of jail and prison to get them back into society. 99% of those leaving jail and prison do return to their home community. So it's important that they return to their home community with resources. And one of the resources is not having that Corey follow them around for the rest of their life. I want to say thank you to my colleague, Councilor Flaherty, this body, and looking forward to another discussion on how we can make some progress on Corey reform. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you so much. The chair recognizes Councilor Flaherty. Councilor Flaherty, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you to my colleague, Councilor Flynn, for his partnership on this and for recognizing my efforts over the years, as well as the efforts of this council. And I know Madam Clerk can attest to that. We were the very first, as Council President, created a standalone committee on Corey reform, really put a focus and shine a light and got us into the space. And as a result of which, worked with other legislative bodies. And as Council Flynn had recognized, Governor Patrick also was responsive to those efforts as well. So we had a great hearing on this issue back in August. Oftentimes when people think about Corey's, they tend to just think about the impact on employment, not realizing just how broadly having a Corey can impact someone's access to a whole host of other opportunities, housing, education, healthcare, just to name a few. And so all of us have seen firsthand how Corey's impede a person's attempt to fully participate in their communities and ultimately how they avoid recidivism. I've always been a vocal proponent of giving people a second chance, third chance if necessary, and know that Boston as a city believes in that as well. All of us, city of neighborhoods here, and particularly for me and growing up with humble roots and growing up in public housing and having an opportunity to see folks that have struggled and They worked hard, but at the same time, hit some bumps along the way. And but for the fact that they were given a second chance, in some instances, third chance, they've been able to turn it around. And so there are a lot of organizations doing fantastic work in this space. Our city, under the leadership of the Walsh administration, has been doing a lot of work here, ranging from the launch of Operation Exit to the newly launched Project Opportunity that aims to create equitable opportunities for Boston residents with Corey's that helps connect residents with free legal consultation for sealing or expunging their records, convening panel discussions to address challenges and solutions for residents with Corey's, as well as training city departments to meet the needs of residents with Corey's. So I look forward to continuing this discussion, have another hearing where we can continue to keep the topic at the forefront of our discussion, particularly as everything's overshadowed now by COVID and our response. Corey reform needs to continue to be front and center. If we're going to talk about structural change and particularly criminal justice reform, Corey reform has to continue to be a big part of that. So with that, I thank my co-sponsor and look forward to an expedited hearing. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you so much. A show of physical hands for those who would like to add their name to this docket. Madam Clerk, if you could please add Councilor O'Malley, Councilor Braden, Councilor Baker, Councilor Bach, Councilor Wu, Councilor Campbell, Councilor Sarby George, Councilor Edwards, Councilor Mejia. Did I get everyone? Please also add the chair. Docket 0301 will be referred to the Committee of Small Business and Workforce Development. Move on to docket 0302.
Docket 0302, Councilor Wu offers the following order for hearing regarding good food purchasing at the City of Boston and Boston's anchor institutions.
Thank you so much. The chair recognizes Councilor Wu. Councilor Wu, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. It was almost 2 years ago now that this council passed the Good Food Purchasing Ordinance, making Boston the first city on the East Coast to set standards for publicly purchased food at the city level, mostly through our Boston public school system that would require environmental sustainability, good jobs with labor standards, local production wherever possible, and health and nutrition. And so as part of that ordinance, there is a 18-month window for BPS to begin to complete a baseline assessment of how we're doing along all those standards. And despite everything that's been on their plate during the pandemic, especially with food delivery and thinking about food security for our families, they have made good headway and taken great progress in completing that assessment. And so we want to use this opportunity to just thank them for the work that they've been juggling amidst everything else in crisis, to have a public check-in and to also push this conversation beyond that, the possibilities to expand this to many of our anchor institutions, hospitals who are serving hundreds of thousands of meals to patients and families and visitors, universities who are already beginning to have students come back on campus and served by major food programs as well. We could put together a bulk purchasing program to support local jobs, healthy foods, and do so much more. So looking forward to talking about best practices and coordinating a much larger program. We know that our food systems are often rife with injustices, but that by turning it around and using the leverage that we have at the public city level, we can in fact really root our communities in good jobs, in justice, and in a recovery from this pandemic. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Please a show of physical hands for those who would like to add their name. Madam Clerk, if you could please add Councilor O'Malley, Councilor Sarby George, Councilor Arroyo, Councilor Campbell, Councilor Bach, Councilor Flynn, Councilor Flaherty, Councilor Braden, Councilor Mejia, Councilor Edwards. Please also add the chair. Is everyone who wants to be added? Great. Docket 0302 will be referred to the Committee of Post Audit and Oversight. We'll move on to docket 0303.
Docket 0303, Councilor Wu offered the following ordinance expending paid sick leave for City of Boston employees to receive the COVID-19 vaccine.
Thank you so much. The chair recognizes Councilor Wu. Councilor Wu, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. So this is to add to the work that this council is doing. Every day we're seeing more stories and more information about how the vaccine rollout has been going and how urgently and stressful it has been for families who are incredibly anxious and wanting to do everything they can to make sure we're protecting individuals as well as the larger community. Part of lowering the barriers and making sure we're building trust is also being open and honest about the vaccination process. And so this helps to address a piece of that the CDC reports that the common side effects of the COVID-19 vaccine include pain and swelling on the arm that received the shot, potentially fever, chills, tiredness, and headache. These are normal side effects and will usually go away after just a few days. But in the short term, the risk of these side effects and the impact may make it harder to fulfill daily responsibilities. And often this is after the second dose of the current types of vaccines that we're using. And so given the long history of medical disenfranchisement in communities of color, Black, Latinx, and other residents of color, we, from the city level, should be modeling what we are encouraging other employers and other parts of the community to do. We should make it possible to accommodate and mitigate the burden of these side effects however possible. So this ordinance would put forward 3 additional days of paid sick time for city employees to receive the vaccine and, if necessary, to rest and recover from side effects in the days following the vaccine itself. So by extending this protection to and accommodation to city workers, we can use our voice and our example to make sure that everybody is protecting our community as quickly as possible and lifting each other up in the process. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The chair recognizes Councilor Mejia. Councilor Mejia, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. And thank you to Councilor Wu for bringing this issue to the forefront. And we've seen so far how our state has handled the vaccine rollout. And it's becoming clear that we as a city need to begin implementing rules and regulations to help ensure the safety of all of our people. A lot of councilors have been talking about this issue and what could be done to help people who need to get the vaccine back on their feet without any problems with their employment or their health. I look forward to sitting in and following alongside closely as we discuss this ordinance to see what can be done to make it even stronger and more effective. And I know that there are a lot of advocates who have been doing work in this space, so really looking forward to making sure that they are invited as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. The chair recognizes Councilor Flynn.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President. Please add my name, and thank you to Councilor Wu. I just wanted to highlight that one of the aspects of this issue is we have to make sure we provide as much medical information to our immigrant neighbors as we possibly can, encouraging them to take the vaccine. And that includes talking to them, communicating them in their language. Many of them may not be on social media, but we have to expand our outreach to our immigrant neighbors to make sure that we reach them with a positive message about vaccinations. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you so much. The chair recognizes Councilor Flaherty.
Thank you, Madam President. Please add my name, and obviously want to take this opportunity to let folks know that in Dorchester, Beth Israel, in partnership with Bowdoin Square Community Health Center, I've been working closely with them. They've opened up a vaccination site at First Parish Church, and it's open 7 days a week. I've been working closely with Councilor Baker to get the word out in his district to get folks to, one, know that it's available, and two, to get their loved ones up there. So I think there's a responsibility on a lot of things, and in particular, the sons and daughters and the grandsons and granddaughters of elderly folks, to make sure that they're having the information and they're having the opportunity to get up there and or another site. So I think the onus is on those family members, particularly the first wave, anyone over 75 years of age. Many of those instances that they either don't own a vehicle and or they don't drive. So it's incumbent upon all of us to make sure that we're doing the best we can. And we had, Council Flynn and I had some of the heads of the restaurants in South Boston have organized shuttle rides to get folks to get the vaccine. So again, a lot of emphasis and a lot of pressure on responsibility, and it's up to us to make sure that we're looking after our elders, making sure that they get the vaccine. And obviously, as we continue to do the rollout and the age limit drops, make sure that the word gets out there in as many different languages as possible. But obviously the leadership that we can provide as city council, as be it district or at-large council, is vital here. And just want to let you know that that partnership exists with Beth Israel and Bowdoin Square. And the first thing I did was reach out to my district colleague, and we've been sending folks to First Parish Church. So encourage you to do that, and or give me a call after this hearing, and I can connect you with the right folks. If you have constituents, relatives and loved ones, or organizations that can get the elderly to this site, that's the difference I think we all can make. Is again, get back to responsibility. We all have a responsibility to connect people to these resources, to educate folks about the importance of it, and help them with transportation needs. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilor Flaherty. The chair recognizes Councilor Wu. Councilor Wu, you have the floor.
So sorry, Madam President. I forgot earlier, and my staff just flagged for me. I wanted to ask for substitution of just a new language that just fixes a small technical error. Thank you to Councilor Bach's team for pointing it out. We want to use the most gender inclusive language in describing city employees and city workers. So I want to make sure to correct that. And I believe that version had been emailed out already. But again, it doesn't change the content, just a technical fix that I wanted to make sure we got in.
Okay, so everyone has the new language. Yes? Excellent. All right, so docket 0 through, show of physical hands, I'm sorry. Folks who want to add their name. Madam Clerk, if we could please add Councilor Flynn, Councilor O'Malley, Councilor Sabi George, Councilor Mejia, Councilor Edwards, Councilor Bach, Councilor Braden, Councilor Flaherty, Councilor Campbell, Councilor Arroyo. Did I get everyone who wants to be added? Please also add the chair. Docket 0303 will be referred to the Committee of Government Operations, and we'll move on to docket 0304.
Madam President, are we going to approve the substitute language?
Yes. So everyone has the substitute language, and seeing and hearing no objections. That is what everyone just signed on to, the substituted language of this document. That is gender inclusive. Thank you. Madam Clerk, could you please read docket 0304?
Certainly. Docket 0304, Councilor Wu offered the following resolution urging the Baker administration to prioritize K through 12 educators in COVID-19 vaccine distribution.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Councilor Wu. Councilor Wu, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. And I won't forget with this one to do it up front. Could I move to substitute the language to add Councilor Sabi George as an original co-sponsor to this?
So one, we've got to make sure that that is before us. That language.
We'll check the inbox, but we should be ready.
And if it's just to add a counselor's name, it's not an issue in terms of substance and content, but just want to make sure in terms of our internal process that people have the docket. So if you could make sure that that happens, that would be great. And seeing and hearing no objections, this docket is now included, has Councilor Sabi George on it.
Thank
so
you.
You can continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. We all know it's difficult to overstate how much disruption our students and families and school communities and educators have felt throughout this last year. And we are now with the new MOU moving towards more, already actually more educators and students back in person learning with a phased in expansion over the next couple of weeks and months. However, we have also seen that the updated state prioritization schedule for vaccinations keeps teachers and other educators waiting longer to be able to access the vaccine, even those who have no choice but to, in fulfilling their jobs and their responsibilities, to be in person, indoors, in spaces with many other people. And so while, of course, we are still dealing with many issues around the vaccination rollout, the shortage of doses and balancing many competing factors and locations and everything we've been discussing over the last few weeks, we must ensure that there's an equitable distribution process that recognizes the essential role of our essential workers. That includes the importance and the foundation of schools as a way to keep our students and families healthy, and as a foundation to keep our economy running. So this resolution would urge the Baker administration to prioritize our educators and make it available immediately, especially for educators who are already back with in-person learning. And I ask for suspension of the rules and adoption of this resolution today.
Thank you so much. At this time, the chair recognizes Councilor Asabi George. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Councilor Wu, for adding me as an original co-sponsor on this resolution. Providing priority vaccinations to our teachers is certainly a critical component to getting our students, or the rest of our students, back in school safely, those who are not already in classrooms across our city. I wholeheartedly support this resolution and urge the governor to prioritize our teachers as soon as possible. Thank you, Madam President. Thank you.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Councilor Arroyo. Councilor Arroyo, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to thank Councilor Wu and Councilor Asabi George as original co-sponsors of this. As somebody who was raised by a teacher, as somebody whose sister is currently teaching right now as we speak, it is an essential job. It is one that does put you in close quarters with others, and that we certainly want to see our kids back in classrooms, but we also want to make sure that we're doing that in a way where our teachers and faculty in the building are protected. And I would urge the governor, who has been so wholeheartedly on top of trying to make sure that students are going back to schools, frankly, in my opinion, in ways that have been a little bit rushed, and ensuring that as we have a vaccine, that it is made available to teachers so that we can best achieve that goal. I think the safety and wellness of our teachers is probably, to me, one of the #1 things in the city that we should be focusing on, because I think more so than ever, the impact of teachers and in having students in their classrooms has been prevalent and really obvious to folks who otherwise may have not even thought about it. And so as we're moving towards getting students back into classrooms, I think it's incredibly important that we treat teachers the way we would treat essential workers, and that we do what we need to do to ensure that they're prioritized in the vaccination process moving forward, so that we can move children back into school safely, and so that teachers can interact with one another safely. I know that the statistics on the amount of teachers, the percentage of teachers who have comorbidities and are at risk of complications if they contract COVID-19 is very high. And so I think this is in the best interest of the public. It's certainly something that should be done. It's a no-brainer, and I commend the makers. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The chair recognizes Councilor Braden. Councilor Braden, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. When we had our discussion recently about the vaccine update, and I raised the issue of early education, and I feel strongly that we should not forget our early education providers in this conversation. Many of them work in daycare, preschools, family-run daycares. Those folks are providing an essential service to many of our frontline healthcare workers and also their teachers, so that they can go to work. And I really feel that it would be an oversight not to include our early educators in this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Councilor Bach. Councilor Bach, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Madam President. I just really wanted to commend Councilors Wu and Asabi George for this. I think that it's a critical function. I mean, we're talking about essential work in so many different ways, but I think that there's nothing more important than getting our teachers vaccinated right now. And I just wanted to flag that I think it's important for us, given our role governing the city, to recognize that half of the city employees of the city of Boston are teachers. So it's about 9,000 out of 18,000. And one of the things that I'm hopeful of is that the governor will move them up in priority. And that's the reason we're talking about this resolution today, because that's decision sits at the state level. But also I've been very encouraged in talking to Marty Martinez and HHS back here at the city about the recognition that once that green light does come from the governor, we really have to be all hands on deck to set up as many ways as possible for our teachers to get vaccinated, and think about dedicated clinics in the same way that we have done for our first responders, and recognize it's going to be a all the above strategy with people also going to mass vaccination clinics and other places and other towns even. But I just wanted to really flag, since we're the city council, the important role that I think the city's going to need to play in making sure that when we do get this green light, those 9,000 City of Boston employees who are, BPS teachers and staff, that they effectively get those vaccines as soon as possible. So thanks so much to the makers and everybody's advocacy on this.
Thank you so much. The chair recognizes Councillor Campbell. Councillor Campbell, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you to the makers on this. Teachers are essential workers. It's as clear as that. And especially as we are talking with families every single day about the importance of bringing back our students, it's critically important that they get vaccinated, along with, of course, our staff and school leaders. I also was raising my hand just to lift up, and Councilor Braden actually made the point, the importance of including early ed providers who are also, of course, delivering educational services. My 3-year-old is in with a provider. Most of those providers are women. Most are women of color, and many are from our Latinx and Latino population. And so these are communities of color, of course, who are devastated by COVID and absolutely should be prioritized in the vaccination response. So just wanted to lift that up as well to see if that can be added to the resolution. And again, thank you to the makers, and please add my name. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Councillor Flaherty. Councillor Flaherty, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Please add my name and thank the lead sponsor and co-sponsors for their efforts here. And I think the last whereas catches it, but I just wanted to, through the chair to the maker, just in addition, obviously, to our frontline school teachers, there are a lot of folks in the schools that have direct contact with teachers and our children. And obviously that's the secretaries and other support staff, our bus drivers, et cetera. So I'm assuming that it's a sort of a catch-all. If not, maybe a friendly amendment to include, in addition to our teachers, that we include other public school staff and personnel. I think it catches it in the last whereas, but I'll defer to the lead sponsor. But in any event, please add my name.
And on this point, Councillor Wu, if you're around, are you good with that the language is already included?
We were meeting educators very broadly to include not just teachers, but school communities. But I'm happy to also, this will require a little bit of extra process to quickly get that over, but on the early education piece as well.
We're going to be good with the language as is. It's already, if you feel it's already included. So at this time, show of physical hands for those who want to add their name. Madam Clerk, could you please add Councillor O'Malley, Councillor Bach, Councillor Braden, Councillor Mejia, Councillor Flynn, Councillor Flaherty, Councillor Edwards, Councillor Campbell. Did I get everyone who would like to be included on this? Please also add the chair. Councillor Wu and Councillor Sabi George seek suspension of our rules and adoption of docket 0304. Madam Clerk, will you please?
Just a point of clarification. I think Councillor Wu was saying that she is going to add language with respect to providers.
She said it was all inclusive and under educators. And so we're good with the current language. Do you want to make an amendment, Councillor Wu?
Yeah, I'm welcome, Madam President, apologies. There are two separate, I think, categories that were being discussed. It is inclusive of everyone within K through 12 schools, including non-teachers as well. But I was saying at the end, I believe that if we want to enter to make sure that we are explicit about early that K also means sort of K0, K1, all of the pre-Ks, we can definitely include that as well if that is helpful for everyone. It will just take a moment with my team though.
Why don't we take a recess? We're going to need that in writing before the body. It will need to be moved and seconded to vote on that amendment, and then we'll vote on the full resolution. So we'll just take a brief recess to allow for Councillor Wu's team to get that language together and to someone on central staff who will then send it to all of our emails.
Thank you, Councillor Wu.
Hi, who's this?
Maureen, your phone call's on.
Thank you.
On unmute.
Thank
Just checking in, how we doing? Councilor Wu, you still working?
I believe it is en route to central staff.
Excellent. Okay. Why don't we resume? Carrie, if you're ready. Madam Clerk, if you're ready.
Yeah.
We will come back. So at this time, I will entertain a motion. Councilor Wu?
I'd like to move to substitute the language to ensure that we are specifically naming early education and childcare workers and care providers as well.
And is there a second?
Second.
Wonderful. Madam Clerk, do you have this language before you? Once you have it, I'd like for you to read that into the record. So those working behind the scenes, if we could please make sure that we have this language, that our clerk has the language. I don't know if that's Michelle or Christine. Thank you very much.
It's not coming up on my phone.
I don't have the language.
Councilor Wu, can you please make sure that Christine and our clerk have this language, please? So that it can get out to all the colleagues and everyone has it before them, and then we'll just read it in the record so that the public is clear what this language is as well.
If you could send it to Michelle Goldberg, she has the email all ready to go. She's just waiting for the language.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Christine. Let us know on your end, Councilor Wu, when.
I don't.
It's been sent on our end, so hopefully
yep.
We need.
Okay. Technical difficulties, not to worry, Madam Clerk.
I do not have it on my phone. So my phone is just whirling, I do not have the language. Perhaps good counselor might be able to read it.
Yes, I will call up Councilor Wu, if you could please read this so that everyone is clear what it is. I know we have a summary of what it is, but if you could read the exact language, that would be helpful.
Great. Okay, so let's see. Offered by Councilors Michelle Wu and Anissa Sabi George, a resolution urging the Baker administration to prioritize. Oh, sorry, I still have the old version on my end here.
The new version has come through to our inboxes.
Okay. Let me pull up my email. Okay, here we go. Thank you, Michelle Goldberg. A resolution urging the Baker administration to prioritize childcare providers, early education, and K through 12 educators in COVID-19 vaccine distribution.
Can you guys hear me? That's twice. All right. So we have an amendment before us that we need to take a vote on the amendment, and then we're going to vote on the actual resolution. Madam Clerk, I'm going to ask you to call the roll on the amendment, please.
Certainly. On the substitute language for docket number 30304, Councilor Arroyo. Councilor Arroyo.
Yes.
Councilor Arroyo, yes. Councilor Baker.
Yes.
Councilor Baker, yes. Councilor Bach.
Yes.
Councilor Bach, yes. Councilor Braden.
Yes.
Councilor Braden, yes. Councilor Campbell.
Yes, and thank you to the makers.
Thank you. Thank you to the makers, and Councilor Campbell, yes. Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Councilor Edwards, yes. Councilor Sabi George.
Yes.
Councilor Sabi George, yes. Councilor Flaherty.
Yes.
Councilor Flaherty, yes. Councilor Flynn.
Yes.
Councilor Flynn, yes. Councilor Janey.
Yes.
Councilor Janey, yes. Councilor Mejia.
Yes.
Councilor Mejia, yes. Councilor O'Malley.
Yes.
Councilor O'Malley, yes. And Councilor Wu. Councilor Wu.
Sorry, can you hear me? Yes.
Yes, thank you. Madam President, the substitute language for the resolution on docket 0304 has received a unanimous vote.
Okay, and just to clarify, we just voted on that language and we're going to vote on the actual resolution now. Okay. So we will now do a roll call vote for now that the language has been included on the actual resolution. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
In the amended docket 0304, Councilor Arroyo.
Yes.
Councilor Arroyo, yes. Councilor Baker.
Yes.
Councilor Baker, yes. Councilor Bach.
Yes.
Councilor Bach, yes. Councilor Braden.
Yes.
Councilor Braden, yes. Councilor Campbell.
Yes.
Councilor Campbell, yes. Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Councilor Edwards, yes. Councilor Sabi George.
Yes.
Councilor Sabi George, yes. Councilor Flaherty.
Yes.
Councilor Flaherty, yes. Councilor Flynn.
Yes.
Councilor Flynn, yes. Councilor Janey.
Yes.
Councilor Janey, yes. Councilor Mejia.
Yes.
Councilor Mejia, yes. Councilor O'Malley.
Yes.
Councilor O'Malley, yes. And Councilor Wu.
Yes.
Councilor Wu. Madam President, the resolution on 0304 has received a unanimous vote.
Thank you so much. Docket 0304 as amended has been adopted. At this time, I'm going to turn over the chair to our Vice President, Councilor O'Malley. Councilor O'Malley, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Madam President. Madam Clerk, would you please read into the record docket number 0305?
Certainly. Docket 0305, Councilors Wu and Janey offer the following resolution in support of transit equity.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The chair now recognizes the at-large counselor from Roslindale. Councilor Wu, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I'm proud to partner once again with Council President Janey and a coalition of transit and environmental justice organizations in ensuring that we are recognizing Rosa Parks' birthday, which is February 4th, as well as the legacy of her activism for civil rights, for justice, for transit justice. And so usually there would be an accompanying event where everybody piles onto the bus together and makes sure that we are saving a seat for Rosa Parks on the bus with us. But this year we will celebrate virtually, but wanted to make sure the council continued our tradition. Thank you so much to the T-Riders Union, to ACE, to so many coalitions, and shout out especially to Ms. Mela Miles for her advocacy and making sure that this tradition goes on and that we are moving forward in transit justice every single day.
Thank you, Councilor Wu. The chair now recognizes the council president. Councilor Janey, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. And again, I'm very excited to partner once again with Councilor Wu, and I'm grateful for her steadfast leadership in this space. As someone who doesn't own a car, I understand all too well the challenges that many of our transit riders face every single day. And certainly a huge shout out to all of the advocates in this space who do incredible work every single day. I just will briefly lift up, as you already have, Rosa Parks, her birthday being tomorrow, this being Black History Month, and the importance and the lessons that we see from her own advocacy around civil rights, but using public transit as a way to kind of highlight that issue. And I think we see other examples with freedom riders of the 1960s, as well as using public transit as a way to underscore the importance of just civil rights in general. And we know from the resolutions we've passed, from the hearing orders, from the events that we've had and at different stations and writing the T, we know that there are huge inequities when it comes to service, reliability, et cetera, with our public transit. Now more than ever, we need a public transit system that actually works, one that will not be overcrowded because of cuts in service. We need to make sure that folks are protected through this pandemic and beyond this pandemic. And so again, I am just grateful to all who are in this fight for public transit, and once again, to partner with Councilor Wu. Thank you so much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Madam President. The chair now recognizes the District Council from Mattapan. Councilor Campbell, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I want to thank the makers, and I also want to thank the advocates, but I also wanted to lift up, because we were talking about, of course, Rosa Parks in transportation, Natalie Ornell, who really pushed at the state level and organized, I think, all of us to pass legislation at the state level that would put on our MBTA buses a decal that honored Rosa Parks. And she had to fight for that. And frankly, it took a long time for it to be accomplished, which was unfortunate. But I just wanted to lift her up. I know she was in contact, I think, with every counselor now and previous to make that happen. She's also a teacher within Boston Public Schools. So I just wanted to lift up Natalie and the work that she did on the ground to get that over the finish line, the meetings at the State House as well. And thank you very much to the makers and of course to the advocates as well. And please add my name.
Thank you very much, Councilor Campbell. The chair now recognizes the District Councilor from Beacon Hill. Councilor Bach, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vice Chair. And I just wanted to second the thanks to both makers for this, and to say, I really think it's been a scandal that in the midst of the pandemic, we have seen these cuts and this sort of threat to the permanent vision of public transit. And it really does need to be a moment for transit justice that goes in the other direction, that not just doesn't cut, but actually expands and thinks about exactly the people who are served by public transit and the ways in which we open up our city and possibilities for everyone when we have robust service on that front. So I really want to appreciate the recognition for the history here and for the importance of doubling down on this in this moment where unfortunately it's not what we're seeing from the state. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Bach. Is there any further discussion on docket 0305? Seeing none. Madam Clerk, please add Councilor Campbell, Councilor Bach, Councilor Asabi George, Councilor Braden, Councilor Arroyo, Councilor Mejia, Councilor Flynn. Please add the chair's name. Would anyone else? Councilor Flaherty, Councilor Edwards. You, Councilor Campbell. Seeing and hearing no other additions to serve as co-sponsors. Councilors Wu and Janey now ask for suspension of the rules and adoption of docket 0305. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Certainly. Councilor Arroyo.
Yes.
Councilor Arroyo, yes. Councilor Baker.
Yes.
Councilor Baker, yes. Councilor Bach.
Yes.
Councilor Bach, yes. Councilor Braden.
Yes.
Councilor Braden, yes. Councilor Campbell.
Yes.
Counselor Campbell, yes. Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Counselor Edwards, yes. Counselor Asabi George.
Yes.
Counselor Asabi George, yes. Counselor Flaherty.
Yes.
Counselor Flaherty, yes. Counselor Flynn.
Yes.
Counselor Flynn, yes. Counselor Janey.
Yes.
Counselor Janey, yes. Counselor Mejia.
Yes.
Counselor Mejia, yes. Counselor O'Malley.
Yes.
Counselor O'Malley, yes. And Counselor Wu.
Yes.
Counselor Wu, yes. Mr. Vice President, the docket number 0305 has been adopted unanimously.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Before I turn it back to the Council President, I just remind my colleagues to please keep yourself muted when you are not speaking. I learned more recently than I care to admit, that if you are on mute and press the space bar on your desktop or laptop, it will temporarily unmute you. So that's a good way. Therefore, there's no feedback disturbing the rest of the meeting. So thank you all. Congratulations. Madam President, the floor is now yours again.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We will move on in our agenda on to, I've been informed, however, that this next docket has been withdrawn. I've been informed by our clerk that docket 0306 has been withdrawn, so we'll go directly to 0307.
Thank you. Docket 0307, Councilors Campbell and Mejia offer the following order for hearing regarding implementation of the Boston Police Reform Task Force's recommendations and the State Police Reform Bill.
Thank you so much. The chair recognizes Councilor Campbell. Councilor Campbell, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you to Councilor Mejia for the partnership. And before I proceed, I would like to ask that we suspend the rules and add Councilor Arroyo as an original co-sponsor.
Thank you. Seeing and hearing no objections, Councilor Arroyo has been added as an original co-sponsor.
Thank you, Madam President. We are obviously in a moment where dedicated leadership committed to equity, transparency, and accountability in our police department is absolutely critical. I want to congratulate, of course, our new police commissioner, Dennis White, and thank him for his years of service to the department and the significant role he played on the police task force in pushing for reforms. As demonstrated by the thousands of Bostonians who marched, took to the streets, emailed all of us, called us last year, our residents, of course, are counting on us to continue to move with urgency and intention in transforming our policing system to be more accountable, more just, and more transparent. And I have to stress that this is talking about the system, not attacking individual officers, of course, who show up every day to do their jobs, but looking at how we transform this system to be more just, more accountable, and more transparent is important and necessary work. As a council, all of us stood together and we took really important steps last year in passing the ordinance that would create an Office of Police Accountability and Transparency, along with the Civilian Review Board and Internal Affairs Oversight Panel. We passed an ordinance restricting the use of chemical and kinetic crowd control agents. And as a city, we adopted recommendations from the Boston Police Reform Task Force. And while the city and police department both undergo transitions of leadership at different moments in time, it's absolutely critical that we are doing everything we can to implement OPAT, the Police Reform Task Force recommendations, as well as following the local implementation of police reform that was passed at the state level, of course, working in partnership with our state delegation. And the council in all of this should play a critical role. This hearing, and we envision possibly holding a series of hearings, is designed to track that progress and to make sure that every counselor has an opportunity to participate in those conversations. It is also important that in implementing the Civilian Review Board, that we do that swiftly. One of the concerns that we continue to hear about, of course, has to do with what happened on our Capitol and the attack on our Capitol, and real concerns from folks in the public and residents who have been in touch around potentially Boston police officers participating in that. And so while we push for an investigation with respect to that, we want to make sure that it is public and that the findings of that investigation are revealed publicly, even while we're implementing the Civilian Review Board in the Office of OPAT. I also want to add, and this is something that just came up a few minutes ago that I think is important. we're obviously going to get attention on what happened with respect to our Capitol. And we all want to hold any officer from our department that participated in that accountable. But there are many who, of course, want to remind us that the reason the Civilian Review Board and OPAT were set up is because there have been real cases and concern in our own city with respect to issues of misconduct or issues of gross negligence by officers within our department. And where residents have felt they have not had a channel or system or an office to go to get justice or accountability. And I know us as colleagues have pushed for that, but we've often done it either through channels that are not productive or effective, or through the co-op, which we have numerous reports that talked about it wasn't effective. And so it's important that we don't also take our eyes off the ball with respect to what has happened locally in our own city with respect to troubling cases. And again, this is not to suggest that officers or individual officers don't work hard, which is a common rhetoric and theme that comes up. This is to talk about a system that for too long has not been transparent, has not been easy to navigate to hold folks accountable when something goes wrong. We should want transparency, accountability, equity, diversity, and justice in all of our city departments. And there's work to do with respect to that. And so again, thank you to my council colleagues for the partnership. Thank you, Councilor Mejia, as well, for the letter as well to our police commissioner, our new police commissioner. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you so much. The chair recognizes Councilor Mejia. Councilor Mejia, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you to my co-sponsors, Councilor Campbell and Arroyo, for being a leader on all things public safety. We wouldn't be talking about this issue today if it weren't for the people. All throughout 2020, we got emails, voicemails, phone cell calls, text messages, Facebook messengers, DMs. Everybody was all up in the mix in protest of all these things. And we need to see some change in the way our police operate. And while it's easy for local elected officials to take credit for a lot of the accomplishments of 2020, it was the people who led the charge. We just followed their leadership and committed to the work of the police reform. But the work isn't over just because a piece of legislation is signed into law. There are very real systems that need to adjust to these new laws, and there are new systems that need to be created as well. We have a responsibility as a body to make sure that the reforms we passed into law are fully implemented. That's why this hearing is so important. But this hearing does one thing more. It needs to be brought up. Ever since that angry mob stormed the Capitol, we've seen reports claiming that a BPD officer was in attendance. In light of this, we have an opportunity to use this new systems of accountability and transparency to reassure the public that no person is above the law. This is an incredibly important hearing, and I look forward to holding it alongside Councilor Campbell and Councilor Arroyo. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Councilor Arroyo. Councilor Arroyo, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd just like to thank Councilor Campbell as well as Councilor Mejia for their work here. It's been steadfast. And I would just say, because there's not a whole lot to add to this, I think often about the way that this gets framed, that these sort of measures are punishment or in some way, shape, or form a way of being anti-police. And I think a lot about that because for me, my grandfather, my abuelo, was an officer. He was an officer in Puerto Rico and he was injured in the line of duty. And I take the sacrifices in that work very seriously. And I think a lot about how he saw his role and how he saw that job. And for him, he wanted to be held to the utmost standards that he could be held accountable to. And I think often about whether or not what we're doing is somehow unfair or a punishment or something that would be, not just asking for basic accountability. And when I look at it, what I see here is basic accountability measures and basic reforms to ensure transparency in the processes that I believe that officers do welcome, because I do believe that it creates community trust in their process. It creates community trust in the work that they do. And I think it's integral to getting us to a place where we can have real conversations about what is right and what is wrong about policing. And so I look forward to looking at these reforms that seek to do away with some of the things that we consider what is wrong. I look forward to hearing, just like Councilor Campbell and Councilor Mejia, as to whether or not there is an investigation pending about an officer being at the Capitol. And I also look forward to hearing as well where we are on the investigation into officers who may have been in two places at once, where we had that report that came out about officers who may have been citing court time, but also were at other places at the exact same time that they were citing being in court. And I know that's also under investigation. And so I look forward to getting updates on these issues, because the sooner we can do that, the sooner we can move into a real trustworthy relationship with community, and we can start to rebuild that faith and trust in policing that I think is very important for the institution itself. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you so much. Not seeing any other speakers or show of physical hands, please, for those who would like to add their name to this docket. Madam Clerk, if you could please add Councilor Asabi George, Councilor O'Malley, Councilor Braden, Councilor Wu, Councilor Bach, Councilor Flaherty, Councilor Edwards. Please also add the chair. Councilor Flynn, please also add Councilor Flynn. Docket 0307 will be added to the Committee of Public Safety and Criminal Justice. We'll move on to docket 0308.
Docket 0308, Councilor Asabi George offered the following resolution recognizing February 7th, 2021 as Winter Walk Day in the city of Boston.
Thank you so much. The chair recognizes Councilor Asabi George. Councilor Asabi George, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. February 7th will be the 5th annual Winter Walk Day here in the city of Boston. Winter Walk is a collaborative effort that brings together organizations focused on preventing homelessness and supporting those who are unhoused. Every year, the Winter Walk Day participants walk 2 miles through Boston to raise awareness about homelessness and funding for the organizations doing the work on the ground. This year, Winter Walk is encouraging participants to do a self-guided walk. I'll do my walk tomorrow afternoon and join a virtual gathering on Sunday. Winter Walk is a great organization that I care deeply about. I ask that we suspend the rules and pass this resolution to celebrate them and the good work they continue to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Show of physical hands for those who would like to add their resolution. Madam Clerk, if you could please add Councilor O'Malley, Councilor Braden, Councilor Bach, Councilor Wu, Councilor Mejia, Councilor Edwards, Councilor Flynn, Councilor Flaherty, Councilor Arroyo, Councilor Campbell. I think I have everyone. Please also add the chair. Councilor Asabi George seeks suspension of the rules and adoption of docket 0308. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Yes, thank you. Docket 0308, Councilor Arroyo.
Yes.
Councilor Arroyo, yes. Councilor Baker.
Yes.
Councilor Baker, yes. Councilor Bach.
Yes.
Councilor Bach, yes. Councilor Braden.
Yes.
Councilor Braden, yes. Councilor Campbell.
Yes.
Councilor Campbell, yes. Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Councilor Edwards, yes. Councilor Asabi George.
Yes.
Councilor Asabi George, yes. Councilor Flaherty. Councilor Flaherty.
Yes.
Councilor Flaherty, yes. Councilor Flynn.
Yes.
Councilor Flynn, yes. Councilor Janey.
Yes.
Councilor Janey, yes. Councilor Mejia.
Yes.
Councilor Mejia, yes. Councilor O'Malley.
Yes.
Councilor O'Malley, yes. And Councilor Wu. Councilor Wu.
Yes.
Councilor Wu, yes. Madam President, docket number 0308 has been adopted unanimously.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. We'll move on to docket 0309.
Docket 0309. Councilor Asabi George offered the following resolution recognizing February 3rd, 2021 as National Girls and Women in Sports Day.
Thank you so much. The chair recognizes Councilor Asabi George. Councilor Asabi George, you have the floor.
Thank you again, Madam President. And in years past, we've had a significant group of young women here before us as we present this resolution. And I'm excited again to present it, although virtually, to mark today as the 35th annual National Girls and Women in Sports Day. We are celebrating the extraordinary achievements of girls and women in sports, as well as the importance of protecting Title IX. In years past, I've talked about my time playing sports in high school and coaching when I was a teacher at East Boston High School. Today, I want to highlight that protecting gender equity in sports means to ensure equal access to sports resources and equipment, as well as making sure that our transgender athletes are protected and able to play, free from stigma and constraints. I'd like to thank all of the coaches who have figured out how to safely have practice and games during this pandemic and engage our kids in athletics. All of the athletes, I'd like to thank them for their drive, their commitment, and dedication to the sport they love. I ask that we suspend the rules and pass this resolution.
Thank you so much. Not seeing any other speakers or show of physical hands, please. Up, just one moment. Councilor Flaherty, did you want to speak?
Yes, Madam President, please add my name. I just want to give a shout out to my cousin Colleen Coyne, who played on the United States Olympic gold medal team in Nagano. She played hockey for the United States, the women's team, and is in proud possession of a gold medal. So shout out to her, and please add my name.
Thank you. At this time, the chair recognizes Councilor Braden. Councilor Braden, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have to applaud Councillor Sabi George for this recurring resolution every year. I think the participation of girls and young women in sports is really, really important. And as my own life experience, when I was a young kid, my dad died when I was 14 years old. And my participation in team sports with my field hockey team and my cross country team, believe it or not, I used to do those things. It was a life-saving thing. It built confidence, and it was a really important piece of my ability to cope with grief and loss in my family. So I really think this is a hugely important issue for young women and girls. So may we continue to support it. Thank you.
Like your name.
Yes.
Yes, Madam.
Show of physical hands now. Councilor Braden and others who would like to add their name. Madam Clerk, if you could please add Councilor O'Malley, Councilor Baker, Councilor Mejia, Councilor Bach, Councilor Campbell, Councilor Flaherty, Councilor Wu, Councilor Arroyo, Councilor Flynn, Councilor Edwards. Did I get everyone? The boxes were moving quite a bit. Did I get everyone? Please also add the chair. Councilor Sabi George seeks suspension of the rules and adoption of docket 0309. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Certainly. Docket 0309. Councilor Arroyo.
Yes.
Councilor Arroyo, yes. Councilor Baker.
Yes.
Councilor Baker, yes. Councilor Bach.
Yes.
Councilor Bach, yes. Councilor Braden.
Yes.
Councilor Braden, yes. Councilor Campbell.
Yes.
Councilor Campbell, yes. Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Councilor Edwards, yes. Councilor Sabi George.
Yes.
Councilor Sabi George, yes. Councilor Flaherty.
Yes.
Councilor Flaherty, yes. Councilor Flynn.
Yes.
Councilor Flynn, yes.
Yes.
Councilor Janey.
Yes.
Councilor Janey, yes. Councilor Mejia.
Yes, I will.
Councilor Mejia, yes. Councilor O'Malley.
Yes.
Councilor O'Malley, yes. And Councilor Wu.
Yes.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President, docket number 0309 has been adopted unanimously.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. We will move on to docket 0310.
Docket 0310, Councilor Sabi George offered the following order for hearing regarding expanding the services available on 311.
Thank you so much. The chair recognizes Councilor Sabi George. Councilor Sabi George, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. This hearing order is a refile from last year. I would like to just continue the conversation and the work regarding expanding the options available through 311 so that our residents are able to get the support they need and that the system is a dynamic one that is responding to the needs of our residents. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you so much. Seeing no other Councilor Flynn, would you like to speak? You have the floor.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Madam President, and thank you to Councilor Sabi George. Please add my name. It was an excellent discussion last year. I was proud to host that hearing, but 311 plays a critical role in our city, and residents continue every day to learn more about what 311 actually can do to improve quality of life for our residents and neighborhood services, the bread and butter of city government. So thank you to Councilor Sabi George for filing this, and I'm sure it'll be another interesting and informative hearing for the residents of Boston.
Thank you so much. Show physical hands for others who would like to add their name. Madam Clerk, we already have Councilor Flynn. If you could add Councilor O'Malley, Councilor Braden, Councilor Arroyo, Councilor Mejia, Councilor Campbell, Councilor Bach, Councilor Wu, Councilor Edwards, Councilor Flaherty. Please also add the chair. Did I get everyone who wants to add their name? Wonderful. Docket 0310 will be referred to the Committee on City and Neighborhood Services, and we will move on to docket 0311.
Docket 0311. Councilor Sabi George offered the following order for a hearing regarding elder scamming protections.
Thank you so much. The chair recognizes Councilor Sabi George. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to add Councilor Braden and suspend Rule 12 and add Councilor Flaherty.
Seeing and hearing no objections to suspending our rules, both have been added. And just repeat those names again.
Councilor Braden and Councilor Flaherty.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. This hearing order is also a refile, but from several years ago. We'd like to renew this conversation in light of the pandemic. For so many of our seniors, this pandemic has worsened social isolation, increased the barriers to technology and safe healthcare, and deepens the loss, certainly, of family and friends. We must make sure to address those problems and prevent any predatory behaviors that have been destabilizing our seniors over time, and the pandemic has done this further. I look forward to having this hearing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam.
Thank you so much. The chair recognizes Councilor Braden. Councilor Braden, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you to the maker, Councilor Sabi George, for including me as an original co-sponsor. Many of our senior and aging community know all too well that companies frequently target seniors with claims that their business offers the best deal, the product or service, and sometimes these companies employ predatory sales techniques that mislead and confuse our potential customers. This was discussed in a hearing in the fall regarding energy companies offering lucrative and enticing deals that really ended up with our elders paying more for their energy. Seniors are particularly vulnerable to scamming and predatory sales techniques due to language barriers, social isolation, as well as financial and legal dependency. I look forward to the conversation with councillors, advocates, senior service organisations and our Age Strong Commission and regulatory and enforcement agencies to discuss best practices to ensure that our community members are not taken advantage of. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The chair recognizes Councilor Flaherty. Councilor Flaherty, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you to Councilor Sabi George for adding me as an original co-sponsor and for Councilor Braden's partnership on this issue. Boy, do I miss our seniors across the city, and so I look forward to hopefully seeing them soon. But as mentioned in the hearing order, our seniors are inundated with scams, whether it's receiving nonstop mail about cash offers to buy their home or online solicitation. So my team has received several calls and requests for help from seniors after they've been victims of a scam over the last several months. So this is a growing and real problem for our constituents, especially during a time where more and more of everyday life is conducted online using the latest technology. So this body has a track record of standing up for our seniors in a variety of different ways. Back in 2016, I sponsored an ordinance regarding contractor accountability on building permits that passed this body unanimously. My staff and I had heard from residents across the city, particularly our elderly and more vulnerable residents, about deceitful contractors taking advantage of them. And we wanted to take action to protect our seniors from these bad actors. This ordinance requires contractors applying for building permits to include on a signed affidavit list all currently open permits, their corresponding addresses, status of the project, and expected completion date. So I'm hoping that this hearing order will lead to additional actions that we can take as a council to support our seniors. And lastly, while I have everyone's attention, there's an existing resource for our elders that who may be a victim of a scam, and that's a partnership we have with the Attorney General's office. It's the Attorney General's Elder Hotline. That number is 888-243-5337, and they're open Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. So those who may have maybe hard of hearing or deaf, there's a TTY number, and it's 617-727-4765. So let's continue to be great partners for our seniors. Started doing a lot of elderly scam work back when I was an assistant district attorney. Continued it obviously as a member of this council. So happy to serve and along all of our colleagues who are committed to our seniors, but in particular thank the chair for her adding me to this. Thank you very much, Madam President.
Thank you so much. Not seeing any other, Councilor Flynn, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Please add my name, and I just want to highlight, as my colleagues have done, the tremendous work of Commissioner Shea and Age Strong. They play a critical role in educating our seniors on a lot of the scams out there. So that public awareness campaign is critical. So I want to say thank you to Councilor Sabi George and all of our city council colleagues for their longtime support of our seniors in the city of Boston. And on a personal note, I just like to highlight when my mother was First Lady of Boston, she did a lot of outreach to seniors as well. So I want to say thank you to my mother for her work on helping seniors as First Lady of Boston. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you so much. A show of physical hands for those who'd like to add their name to this docket. Madam Clerk, if you could please add Councilor O'Malley, Councilor Braden, Councilor Baker, Councilor Wu, Councilor Edwards, Councilor Bach, Councilor Campbell, Councilor Mejia, Councilor Arroyo. Did I get everyone's hands? Please also add the chair. Docket 0311 will be referred to the Committee on Small Business and Workforce Development. We'll move on to docket 0312.
Docket 0312, Councilor Sabi George offered the following order for hearing regarding the SNAP gap in Boston.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Councilor Sabi George. Councilor Sabi George, you have the floor.
Thank you again, Madam President. I'd like to add Councilor Kenzie Bach to this hearing order. The pandemic has taught us many things, including food insecurity is widespread for too many Boston residents. Prior to the pandemic, there were approximately 70,000 people in Boston who were eligible for SNAP, but were not currently enrolled. Most are just unaware that they are eligible and that SNAP will benefit them. I hope that in holding this hearing, we are able to identify strategies to increase enrollment and further food security for our residents. I'll also note that this is an item that we've discussed should be a part of the 311 app so that families can use that as a one-stop shop to access certain applications and certain resources. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you so much. The chair recognizes Councilor Bach. Councilor Bach, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Madam President, and thank you to the lead sponsor on this. It's such a critical issue, and I just wanted to thank the folks who have been involved in this front so far. So I know that our IGR world and in particular, Catalina Lopez Ospina in our Office of Food Access have really worked to support the effort at the state level to make it so that when people sign up for Mass Health, they also sign up. They also have the opportunity to sign up for SNAP because exactly as Councilor Sabi George said, so many people just don't know about this benefit that they could benefit from, and it's so fundamental to family health. So actually, in my district, both Representative Jay Livingstone on the House side and Senator Sal DiDomenico on the Senate side are the lead sponsors of that. And they pushed it very hard last session. And I think one thing we should all be doing is advocating for that, because just getting folks who are on Mass Health signed up for SNAP would really help narrow this gap in a big way. And I just want to appreciate what the Office of Food Access has done so far on setting up a toolkit for BPS like principals and folks to kind of spread the word in their communities, and trying to run a destigmatizing public relations campaign. I think this is something where we've got a lot of good work happening at the City of Boston, but this gap is persistent. And so I think Councilor Asabi-George is absolutely right that we need to focus on it, and we need to use our platforms as councilors, which are public platforms, to really spread the word, especially as we confront more food need than our city's ever seen in this moment. So thank you, Madam President.
Thank you so much. The chair recognizes Councilor Edwards. Councilor Edwards, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. I'll be very brief. At a recent community meeting, the teacher actually in Lawrence brought up some gaps that occur if kids end up going to school full-time physically, and whether their access to the temporary extended SNAP benefits is actually pulled away or reduced. And so we just want to make sure, I don't think we have that problem in Boston, but I want to make sure that we did have that as part of the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Councilor Wu. Councilor Wu, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you so much to the sponsors for continuing to lift this up. I also just want to flag that there's an additional fix that Governor Baker only has to implement. This council passed a resolution last year about recognizing that the IT bond bill, that the state IT bond bill that had been passed, allows for, specifically legally provides for an automatic enrollment and universal application for Mass Health and SNAP together. But the governor has chosen not to implement that. And we're also just wanting to lift up that in addition to issues around awareness and eligibility, many residents, particularly our undocumented residents in Boston, are worried about public charge requirements impacting immigration status. And so there are issues linked in here that we need to make sure we're giving space to community to speak about, and to continue to push the state level to do what they can on the automatic side to enroll people and make folks eligible.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Councilor Flynn. Councilor Flynn.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, please add my name, and I would just like to echo what some of the comments Councilor Wu just made. I think the SNAP program is the best federal program we have. And even during the 2020 census, it was a critical part of the 2020 census to make sure everybody was counted, because those number of people determined how much funding we would get for the SNAP program and other programs that benefited so many people in need, including our immigrant neighbors. So I want to highlight the work of H Strong. I want to highlight the work of Food Access, Immigrant Advancement. Yosef did a tremendous job on a lot of this outreach to make sure we captured everybody in the 2020 census. And that was one of the reasons we did it, among many, but making sure people had access to SNAP benefits. Also want to say thank you to Mayor Walsh for his outreach on this initiative as well. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Show of physical hands for those who would like to add their name. Madam Clerk, if you could please add Councilor O'Malley, Councilor Braden, Councilor Edwards, Councilor Flaherty, Councilor Arroyo, Councilor Wu, Councilor Campbell, Councilor Baker. You already have Councilor Flynn. Please also add the chair. Wonderful. Docket 0312.
Madam President, I was frozen, sorry.
No worries. Please also add Councilor Mejia. So docket 0312 will be referred to the Committee of Strong Women, Families, and Communities. We'll move on to the last docket in this section, which is docket 0313. Madam Clerk.
Thank you. Docket 0313, Councilor Asabi-George offered the following order for hearing regarding the impact of Main Street's organizations on small businesses during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Thank you so much. The chair recognizes Councilor Asabi-George.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Our Main Streets organizations do so much to promote and support our local economy in times in normal times, and then certainly during this pandemic. Many of our local businesses are not currently in a Main Streets district. So last year, the City of Boston began the Reimagine Boston Main Streets program to look at expanding the number of Main Streets districts, using small businesses to close the racial wealth gap and to understand the impact of the pandemic on our local economy. I'd like to hold this hearing to learn more about the program's findings and anything we can do further to support our small businesses and our small business districts. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you so much. No other speakers? Show of physical hands of folks who would like to add their name. Wonderful. Madam Clerk, if you could please add Councilor O'Malley, Councilor Braden, Councilor Flaherty, Councilor Edwards, Councilor Wu, Councilor Mejia, Councilor Flynn, Councilor Bach, Councilor Campbell, Councilor Arroyo. Please also add the chair. Wonderful. Docket 0313 will be referred to the Committee on Small Business and Workforce Development. At this time, the chair recognizes Councilor Baker. Councilor Baker, you'd like to add your name for reconsideration?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd just like to reconsider, and I apologize for missing it, reconsider docket 300. I'd like to add my name to that, please.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, you're all set on that?
Yes.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Is he also adding his name to?
Docket 0313, the last one?
Yeah, right.
No,
No.
thank you.
I just want to be sure. Thank you.
Yes. And in case we haven't said it, docket 0313 is being referred to the Committee on Small Business and Workforce Development. We will now move on in our agenda to late files, which you all know I frown upon. So we have some late files today, 3 late files, in fact, 2 are personnel orders, which is understandable. The third is an ordinance. And just given the importance of ordinances, and this is the second week in a row that we've had an ordinance as a late file, I'd like to ask my colleagues to either get them in on time or to wait for the following week. But at this point, we do have 3 that we need to entertain. And so I am going to ask everyone to check their emails while we get queued up. So that you understand, again, 2 are personnel orders. It is from Councilor Wu. The third is an ordinance, but it is somewhat of a refile, and we'll let the sponsor speak to that at the appropriate time. While you're looking at your emails, I'm going to ask the clerk to call a roll call vote so that we can get these items onto our agenda. Okay, Madam Clerk.
Thank you. Councilor Arroyo, this is to have the late files submitted. Councilor Arroyo.
Yes.
Councilor Arroyo, yes. Councilor Baker. Councilor Baker.
Yes.
Thank you, Councilor Baker. Councilor Baker, yes. Councilor Bach.
Yes.
Councilor Bach, yes. Councilor Braden.
Yes.
Councilor Braden, yes. Councilor Campbell.
Yes.
Councilor Campbell, yes. Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Councilor Edwards, yes. Councilor Asabi George.
Yes.
Councilor Asabi George, yes. Councilor Flaherty.
Yes.
Councilor Flaherty, yes. Councilor Flynn.
Yes.
Councilor Flynn, yes. Councilor Janey.
Yes.
Councilor Janey, yes. Councilor Mejia.
Yes.
Councilor Mejia, yes. Councilor O'Malley.
Yes.
Councilor O'Malley, yes. And Councilor Wu.
Yes.
Councilor Wu, yes. Madam President, the late files were unanimously accepted and placed before the body.
Right, so these are now on our agenda. We're going to deal with the 2 personnel orders first. Madam Clerk, I'm going to ask you to read those into the public record.
Would you like me to read both of them or one
Yes, if you could read
separately? Certainly. Boston City Council, February 1st, 2021, Councilor Kim Janey offered the following order. And then the second one is in Boston City Council, January 27th, 2021, Councilor Kim Janey for Councilor Wu.
Thank you. The chair seeks suspension of the rules and passage of this first late file matter. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilor Arroyo.
Yes.
Councilor Arroyo, yes. Councilor Baker.
Yes.
Counselor Baker, yes. Counselor Bach.
Yes.
Counselor Bach, yes. Counselor Braden.
Yes.
Counselor Braden, yes. Counselor Campbell.
Yes.
Counselor Campbell, yes. Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Counselor Edwards, yes. Counselor Asabi George.
Yes.
Counselor Asabi George, yes. Counselor Flaherty.
Yes.
Counselor Flaherty, yes. Counselor Flynn.
Yes.
Counselor Flynn, yes. Counselor Janey.
Yes.
Counselor Janey, yes. Counselor Mejia.
Yes.
Counselor Mejia, yes. Counselor O'Malley.
Yes.
Counselor O'Malley, yes. And Counselor Wu.
Yes.
Counselor Wu, yes. Madam President, the first late file personnel matter received a unanimous vote.
Thank you so much. Could you, well, you already read the second one. So the chair seeks suspension of the rules and passage of the second late file matter, which is a personnel order. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Certainly. The second late file matter, Counselor Arroyo.
Yes.
Counselor Arroyo, yes. Counselor Baker.
Yes.
Counselor Baker, yes. Counselor Bach.
Yes.
Counselor Bach, yes. Counselor Braden.
Yes.
Counselor Braden, yes. Counselor Campbell.
Yes.
Counselor Campbell, yes. Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Counselor Edwards, yes. Counselor Asabi George.
Yes.
Counselor Asabi George, yes. Counselor Flaherty.
Yes.
Counselor Flaherty, yes. Counselor Flynn.
Yes.
Counselor Flynn, yes. Counselor Janey.
Yes.
Counselor Janey, yes. Counselor Mejia.
Yes.
Counselor Mejia, yes. Counselor O'Malley.
Yes.
Counselor O'Malley, yes. And Counselor Wu.
Yes.
Counselor Wu, yes. Madam President, the second personnel late file has passed unanimously.
Thank you so much. We'll move on to the third late file, which is an ordinance. Madam Clerk, if you could please read the matter into the record.
Would you like me first and last? Great, thank you. Offered by Councilor Anissa Asabi George, an ordinance to create the Special Commission on Ending Family Homelessness. Whereas there is a crisis of family homelessness in the city of Boston. And, sorry. Oh. Sorry, I'm looking for the last, it's too long. At this point, the special commission may be called upon to testify to update the city council on city progress to end family homelessness. If the special commission determines necessary, the special commission is authorized to continue meeting beyond the 5-year commission limit to ensure the plan to implement and provide provided by the special commission continues to provide biannual reports to the clerk. The commission reports submitted to the city clerk and any documents pertaining to the governing of the commission will be publicly available, filed in the council on February 2nd, 2021.
Thank you so much, Madam Clerk. And if folks recall, not too long ago, we did pass this matter, and there's full agreement, but there are some technicalities, and Councilor Asabi George will give us an update on where things are. And so at this time, the chair recognizes Councilor Asabi George. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. After we voted on this special commission last year, we learned that there was a minor problem with the language regarding appointments. So we needed to refile it this year. The mayor did not veto this, but it has not been put into place because of those the inappropriate or improper language. This is, obviously unusual, and hopefully this change, which will separate the ex officio commission members from the members who need to be formally appointed, can be fixed quickly. There will be no other changes to the text. Per our conversation, this, I hope, will just be pulled from the green sheets and processed next week. I am happy to answer any questions either today or offline from colleagues. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you so much. And just to reiterate that, because there is this agreement and it is just technical language, we do hope to move this quickly. It will be referred to the Committee on Government Operations because it's an ordinance. But the hope is, because we've done all of our due diligence in terms of hearings and working sessions, et cetera, that we'll be able to move this quickly and pull from the green sheets at our next meeting. Just wanted to make sure that colleagues had the opportunity to view the change in language as well as the public. And so at this time, this third late file matter, which is an ordinance sponsored by Councilor Asabi George, will be referred to the Committee on Government Operations. Thank you so much. We will now move on to the green sheets. And even though it's early in the year, we do have an item. I believe Councilor Flynn would like to pull a docket. And at this time, I'm going to just briefly call upon you, Councilor Flynn, not to speak to the docket, but just to direct people as to where to find it. You will also be getting an email about this docket, so please be on the lookout in your email. Councilor Flynn, where can we find this?
Yes, Madam President. It's docket 0205.
Okay, and then is that page of 1 of 14, I believe, on the green sheets? I believe it is.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
Okay, wonderful. An email is being sent. And so right at this time, I'm going to ask our clerk to read it into the record. And also, if you could, Madam Clerk, if you could poll the committee. And after we get it properly before the body through this process, I'm going to go back to Councilor Flynn, who will speak to it. Madam Clerk.
Thank you so much. On page 1 of 14, in the Committee on City and Neighborhood Services, docket number 0205, which was sponsored by the mayor, message in order for the confirmation of the appointment of Thomas Keady as a member of the Boston Water and Sewer Commission for term ending January 7th, 2023. This was referred to committee on January 27th, 2021. And now, if I may, I will poll the committee, Madam President, on City and Neighborhood Services. Councilor Flynn.
Yes.
Yes. Vice Chair, Councilor O'Malley.
Yes.
Councilor O'Malley, yes. Councilor Baker. Councilor Baker. Councilor Campbell.
Yes.
Councilor Campbell, yes. And Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Councilor Edwards, yes. Councilor Baker. Oh. The Committee on City and Neighborhood Services has been polled and had 4 of 5 members agree.
Thank you so much, Madam Clerk. At this time, the chair recognizes Councilor Flynn. Councilor Flynn, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you, Madam Clerk. I apologize for having to ask for a vote by pulling this docket off the green sheet. I have sent the appointee's resume to central staff. I hope my colleagues have it in their inboxes, their resumes. This is for an appointment of Thomas Keady to the Boston Water and Sewer Commission Board. Boston Water and Sewer Commission Board of Commissioners has 3 members, and the board's primary responsibility is to ensure the sound, economical, and efficient maintenance of the water and sewer systems for the citizens of Boston. Board members are appointed to serve 4-year staggered terms and must maintain residency within the city of Boston. Board members are not compensated for their services, but are reimbursed for expenses necessarily incurred in the performance of their duties. Mr. Tom Keady is a new appointment. He is currently the Vice President of Government Relations and Community Affairs at Boston College. He has a wealth of experience in facilities planning and management leadership and communications. Mr. Keady also worked in government relations, community affairs at Northeastern University, and worked here at the City Council at one time, working for City Councilor James Conley and Michael McCormick, both in the 70s and 80s. Over the weekend, Madam President, I had an opportunity to talk at great length with Mr. Keady about why he wanted to join the Water and Sewer Commission. I believe that he would be a great addition to the Water and Sewer Commission. He has a great knowledge about the Water and Sewer Commission, but also he had an excellent attitude and wants to learn more about how we can make sure the Boston Water and Sewer Commission works for everyone and in every neighborhood effectively. I hope that we can vote on this appointment today, since they need a new commissioner there to fill a vacant seat soon, and make sure that there are enough board members on the Board of Commissioners for the Boston Water and Sewer Commission. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you so much. Councilor Flynn seeks passage and confirmation of docket 0205. Madam Clerk, I'm going to ask you to call the roll.
Certainly. On docket 0205, Councilor Arroyo.
Yes.
Councilor Arroyo, yes. Councilor Baker.
I'm sorry, what are we voting on here,
We're
Madam
voting
Clerk?
Boston Water and Sewer appointment of Thomas Keady.
Yes.
Off the green sheets. Thank you. Council Baker, yes. Council Bach.
Yes.
Council Bach, yes. Council Braden.
Yes.
Council Braden, yes. Councilor Campbell.
Yes.
Councilor Campbell, yes. Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Councilor Edwards, yes. Councilor Asabi George.
Yes. Yes.
Councilor Asabi George, yes. Councilor Flaherty.
Yes.
Councilor Flaherty, yes. Councilor Flynn.
Yes.
Councilor Flynn, yes. Councilor Janey.
Yes.
Councilor Janey, yes. Councilor Mejia.
Yes.
Councilor Mejia, yes. Councilor O'Malley.
Yes.
Councilor O'Malley, yes. And Councilor Wu.
Yes.
Councilor Wu, yes. Madam President, docket number 0205 has received a unanimous vote.
Thank you so much. Docket 0205 has now passed, and we'll move on to the consent agenda. There aren't any additions there, so the chair moves for adoption of the consent agenda as presented. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Certainly. On the consent agenda, Councilor Arroyo.
Yes.
Councilor Arroyo, yes, excuse me, Councilor. Councilor Baker.
Yes.
Councilor Baker, yes. Councilor Bach.
Yes.
Councilor Bach, yes. Councilor Braden.
Yes.
Councilor Braden, yes. Councilor Campbell.
Yes.
Councilor Campbell, yes. Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Councilor Edwards, yes. Councilor Asabi George.
Yes.
Councilor Asabi George, yes. Councilor Flaherty.
Yes.
Councilor Flaherty, yes. Councilor Flynn.
Yes.
Councilor Flynn, yes. Councilor Janey.
Yes.
Councilor Janey, yes. Councilor Mejia.
Yes.
Councilor Mejia, yes. Councilor O'Malley.
Yes.
Councilor O'Malley, yes. And Councilor Wu.
Yes.
Councilor Wu, yes. Madam President, the consent agenda has been approved unanimously.
Thank you so much. Welcome, Margot. Happy to see you here. We're moving on to announcements. Show of physical, not physical hands. Please use your Zoom hands for announcements. Okay, no an announcement. The chair recognizes Councilor Edwards. Councilor Edwards, you have the floor.
Very briefly, I just wanted to announce or note that the council's praying for and thinking about Larry DeCara, who I understand had been in an accident and is on the mend. And so I just wanted to let folks know he's a former city councilor and he's a good person. And I just wanted him to know and his family to know he's in our thoughts. Thank you.
The chair recognizes Councilor Flynn. Councilor Flynn, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I just want to highlight a couple brief issues. I have a city council tribute here. It's to a city worker that recently passed away. His name was Richard Flippin. I'm going to present this to his family for his bravery and service in the United States Marine Corps in the Vietnam War as a Purple Heart recipient, as a disabled American veteran with PTSD. He continued to live his life to the fullest by dedicating his service to the city of Boston for 20 years. He worked with the Boston Police Department. He worked with the City of Boston Transportation Department, the City of Boston Veterans Department. His hard work, dedication, and commitment to the city and country was felt by those who served and worked alongside him each and every day. We honor his service and sacrifice. We thank him as a dedicated city worker as well. We thank his family for their service and sacrifice. And I just want to say, I'm going to present this to his family. And I also just want to highlight a couple losses in my community. including Frank D. Giacomo, on behalf of myself and Council Flaherty and O'Malley as well. But also we lost other leaders in our community in South Boston, Mrs. Pat Feeney. She was active in St. Bridget's Church and Gate of Heaven Church. And Donna Nee Casper, a young woman who did a lot of outreach in South Boston in our church, but also with so many organizations, including the South Boston Neighborhood House. So our condolences go out to many of those, to those families. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you so much, Councillor Flynn. The chair recognizes Councillor Sabi George. Councillor Sabi George, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. And just to echo the sentiments and thoughts and prayers of for Mr. DeCara, and thanks to Mr. Flippin, I'd also like to congratulate now former and retired Commissioner Willie Gross for his 37 years of service to this city. And I'd also like to wish a very happy birthday to our central staffer, Lorraine Scatino. Today is, I understand, her birthday. So just happy birthday, Lorraine.
Thank you so much. And I have a few announcements myself, and certainly want to extend my best wishes to Larry DeCara as well on behalf of the entire City Council. Certainly, congratulations to former Police Commissioner Gross, as well as congratulations to our new Commissioner, Dennis White. Certainly want to welcome him. I've had the opportunity of working with our new Commissioner around some of the peace walks in our neighborhood, so really excited about his leadership as he takes over. I also wanted to share with everyone that Mike, who is fondly known as our 14th counselor, who he has joined us countless times in the Ionella Chamber, he sends his regards and his well wishes. And I hope, I don't know if you're watching, Mike, but if you are, we miss your presence and we wish you the best. And we hope that you will be able to join us again in the chamber soon when it is safe to do so. So warm wishes. Thank you for extending your warm wishes this way, and we certainly wish you the best. Speaking of our chamber, Councillor Sabi George has already mentioned that it's Lorraine's birthday, and so we certainly wish her a wonderful, blessed, happy birthday, and we thank her for all of the work that she does behind the scenes. It is also our former colleague and our Congresswoman, or at least my Congresswoman, Ayanna Pressley. It is her birthday today as well, so certainly want to shout her out. And the new Chief of Public Safety for Boston Public Schools, it's her birthday, Neva Coakley. So a shout out to these amazing women. And certainly Rosa Parks' birthday is tomorrow. I also just want to, on a sadder note, want to mark the passing of Cicely Tyson. She's an American treasure, just an incredible icon. In 2014, I was blessed to see her perform in a play right here in Boston. It was the trip to Bountiful. And after the play, the entire audience joined the cast in singing happy birthday. It was her 90th birthday at the time. And we joined in and to sing happy birthday. We did it the traditional way, but we also did it Stevie Wonder style. And that just stays with me and warms my heart to think that I was able to partake in that. And so just wanted to lift her up for her incredible work over the length of her career, her contributions to the arts, to Black culture, and to society overall. And want us to keep all those who love her and are mourning her loss in our thoughts and prayers as we close out our council meeting with tributes to those who have passed. Today, we will adjourn our council meeting in memory of the following individuals: for Councilor Baker, Francis Petrone; for Councilor Flynn, Richard Flipping and Donna Casper; for the chair, Kay Bourne; and for the entire Boston City Council, Cicely Tyson. A moment of silence. Thank you. The chair moves that when the council adjourns today, it does so in memory of the aforementioned individuals. We are scheduled to meet again on Wednesday, February 10th, 1 week from today at 12 noon. This meeting will be held remotely for the safety of the public and all those involved. And at this time, we will adjourn today's meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Great meeting
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good
Thank
week.
you.
Bye.
Bye, Mario.
Bye, thank you. Bye.
Bye, everybody.